Yeah. Damn, kid, always down. While my chin always pointed to the ground. Hang my head when I'm walking around. I wipe tears from my face on my bathroom towel. Until a typhoon came through when I met you. Cloudy days, let the sun through. Now I smile at the sunroof, yeah. Maybe I'm crazy, I'm out of my mind, but nobody makes me come to life like you. Said everything that I do, just know I do it for you. Maybe I'm stupid, ignoring the signs, but you're on my brain like all the time. It's true that even when I dream, just know I'm dreaming of you.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome. What is going on with my camera? That's the real question. There we go. How are we out there, everyone? Welcome to the Alex Cuesta Show Hangout stream. It is the last day of January 31st, 2026. I want to say hello to everybody out there. Thank you for watching wherever you are watching from, whether it's YouTube X, Facebook, Kick, or Rumble. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I would really appreciate it. And also make sure you follow us on the socials at the Alex Cuesta Show. So I was not around yesterday, was not around Thursday, but I'm back. I apologize for anyone that was looking out for us the last few days. I'm thinking of eventually, not like I said, there's going to be some changes coming up. And more than likely, this channel is going to cease to exist at some point soon. So when I have my next channel, I'm going to try to potentially stick to a schedule so that it could be a little more common, so that people will know when I'll be around, where I'll be around, things like that. Because I feel like that may help as well. And I will try to stick to it and let everyone know when I can't. But I think that's something that might have to happen, because I think that's just the better way of doing it. And again, this next channel I have, I'm going to try and make my last channel. And it's going to be the one that I'm going to want to improve, make better, try and do some different things, some real things with it. So yeah, that's the goal. That is ultimately the goal. So I appreciate you all out there. We're going to start right off the rip. Oh, first things first. So my oldest daughter, 7 years old, hit us with the doozy at dinner today. And I want to know, anyone that's listening, watching, if you can do this. So she asked, why can't you breathe out your nose while you talk? And I just watched, this was at dinner too. We were just hanging out eating dinner, and kids have the most ridiculous questions. And she just randomly popped out with that. And I just saw my wife's brain explode. And then she attempted to do it. And the best way I described it is she sounded like a distressed sea lion. And I haven't tried it. I refuse to try it. I'm not going to try it, because it's just logical that you cannot breathe out of your nose and speak at the same time. Now, I know people are going to hear it and then they're going to go try this. And it just seems not possible. And then, I sent it in a group to one of our mutual friends. Well, her best friend, that's become one of my good friends. And she brought up this thing of circular breathing that apparently musicians do. And I call nonsense on that. I don't think that's possible either. And there's a whole entire thing, like certain musicians do it, circular breathing, so you don't have to inhale. And I'm just like, nah, I call bullshit on that. But anyone that can do that, let me know. If you can breathe out of your nose and talk at the same time, I want to know, because I think that's a ridiculous skill. And I don't believe that anybody can do it. I'm calling it out right now. But all right, so I want to jump right into our news of the day that we're starting with. So right here, this first post, Geeks and Gamers. Katherine O'Hara passed away yesterday, 71 years old. I mean, obviously a legend in so many ways. She was um, Kevin's mom over in Home Alone. She was in Schitt's Creek, one of the best shows that I've ever seen from top to bottom. Her performance there was amazing, and in many, many, many other things. I don't know what she passed away from, but it's incredibly sad. And I just wanted to take the time to pay my respects to Catherine O'Hara. And it's one thing, like, I don't necessarily want to bring politics into this, but it does make a difference here where I don't know what Catherine O'Hara's politics were. Now, in the end, it doesn't matter what their politics are. We're going to mourn their death anyway. But for something like this, for her legacy and everything, and for like initial reaction, I just remember her for her work and her work only. And the work that brought me joy, the work I enjoyed. I don't know, nor do I care what her politics were. And we're going to see towards the end of the show a bunch of celebrities who have decided to share their politics as they always feel like they need to. But it's just, to me, it adds to it at this point in people's careers when we're looking at retrospectives of whether or not they were heavily politically active and things like that. And not necessarily in like running for office or supporting people for office, because that's part of it, right? But in like making deranged, ridiculous statements. And Catherine O'Hara didn't do any of that. And I just want to, um, again, I didn't want to make it super political, but that's kind of what we do on the show a lot of the times. And I just think for me, it adds something to it that she never truly did. And if she did, I didn't know about it. Maybe there's examples that I don't know of, but if she did, I did not know about it. But all right, so we're going to move on from Catherine and we're going to talk here. So right here, I have up Stu Burgier's X page. Now, for those who don't know, Stu Burgier was a part of the Glenn Beck program. He was on his show for 28 years in many different ways, producer and things like that. And since I've been listening to his show since 2014, Glenn Beck, Stu Burgier has been a part of it. And he has announced that he is moving on to go and do something new, something different. And I just want to give a shout out of support. And I know Stu may never see this. Stu has no idea who the hell I am. I've made a few posts that he's liked, but that's besides that. Like he doesn't know who I am, who Alex Cuesta is. But I'm one of those fans that someone like Stu truly had an impact on. His insights, the things he said. I've watched Stu Does America. He's still going to be doing that on the Blaze. But he's someone that has had an impact on me and has shaped a lot of the ways that I've thought as a conservative, along with Glenn. Because whenever I thought of the Glenn Beck program, I didn't just think of Glenn Beck. You always thought of Stu Burgier as well, if you were a fan and if you watched it a bunch of times. So I wish him the best at what he's starting. And I figured, number one, go here and support Stu. I don't follow him because I'm weird. I don't follow a lot of people. I try not to. I'll put them on lists. Like Stu is on the right list. So I do that type of stuff, but don't mind me. But I want everyone to go, and this is what he's going to be doing. Something called predictable. Now I want to go to this tab right here. Now this is a long clip. I don't think we're going to watch it all, but I want to get to what he's announcing because I think that would be important to hear. So here's Stu talking about it.
So Stu, you are leaving, and you haven't announced to anybody yet what you're doing. So can you announce? Can you? Tell us, please?
Yeah, we can talk about it. It's been something. It's a little bit different than what we've been doing for the last 28 years together, but actually also close as well. Parts of the stuff that we've been doing here for a long time. One of my roles here in the program has kind of been chief data nerd, guy who looks at the elections.
And I'll tell you this: Stu's been one of the best. If Stu wanted to go into just like poll analytics and data analytics purely, it would be something that would be amazing. He would bring a lot to that because when it comes to talking about polls, understanding polls, he was right about many of the election stuff in 2020, back in 2016. He was correct about a lot of it. So he's someone that is absolutely trustworthy on that note.
And tries to predict the outcomes to them and analyzes all that stuff. And so I'm starting a new company that is revolving in the world of prediction markets. If you don't know what they are, they've kind of only become widespread over the past year or so. But basically, you can kind of look and invest on whether anything is going to happen, yes or no. A simple question. Will this happen or not? Yes or no, and you predict the outcome. And if you're correct, you can profit off of that information.
Wait. Mm-hmm. So are you? Hold it, just a second.
Mm-hmm.
So real quick, he's just announced that he's going into the prediction market business. Nate, what's going on? How are you, Nate? But and we've seen this pop up. We obviously have Kalshi, which is really coming up. We have Polymarket, which has been big for the last few years, and Stu is now jumping in. And I will say I haven't been someone that's used Kalshi. I haven't used Polymarket because I don't like to gamble my money that way. I'm not a big gambling guy or anything like that. But I'll be supporting Stu 100%. So let's see if we can get a name where we can go.
Are you analyzing those sites, or are you starting? Are you falling in with the mob?
Look, if the mob has money they want to hand me for this operation, I'm right. Interested. I'll listen to you. But no, this is like, the company's going to be doing a few different things, but the one that's probably interesting to the audience is we're going to have a show. It's going to be called Predictable with Stu Bergier. You can go check it out now. It's at predictableshow.com. And, there you can...
By the way, I trademarked your name, so...
Oh, right. So I can't even use my own name.
So for people that don't know, Stu Bergier isn't Stu's real name. His name is Steve. And they go through a long story. If you listen to the episode from Friday on Glenn Beck, where Stu, but this is the relationship. And if you've listened to Glenn Beck at all, this is the relationship between Glenn and Stu where they just absolutely fuck with each other. And that's all it is. They just mess with each other and things like that. So Nate G saying prediction markets are jumping the shark. I mean, I feel like they're easier for the common person to play because is X thing going to happen? Place money on if X thing is going to happen or if X thing is not going to happen. So I feel like it's a little bit easier for the common man to do.
Something else.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You've always been a helper, Glenn. That's really nice.
I know.
It's just a licensing fee. He'll let me use it as long as I just pay him constantly. But
hey, two can play the mob thing. Okay,
that's true. I can be shaken down with the best of them.
That's right.
But the show is going to analyze the news, the things that we talk about every day. Kind of a special focus on the elections, considering we're going into election time, and that's been something somewhat of an expertise of mine for a while. And we're going to be talking about all these news events as they relate to these prediction markets. And, I think it really gives, the free market that we talk about all the time that makes the world a better place.
So that's generally, I'm not going to watch all this whole thing, but Stu is going into the prediction market business. The Predictable Show is going to be something that I am now going to have to add to my shows. And that's probably the biggest thing that I'm angry about is that I'm going to have to add another show to what I listen to because I already don't have enough time to listen to all the shows that I want to. But overall, you're going to not see Stu Bergier on Glenn Beck as much anymore. He's definitely going to be going to make guest appearances, but it's going to be a different show. I'm still going to listen to Glenn, but it's going to be a different show without Stu there. Part of me wants Stu to fail so we can go back to the show. But at the same time, I also want Stu to succeed because I like Stu. So overall, everyone go support Stu Bergier in his new, what he's doing with the Predictable Show, what he's doing with his company. And if you're into prediction market stuff and numbers and data and all that geeky type of shit, you're definitely going to be into what he's doing. And if you just want to see him talk general politics, Stu Does America is still a thing that's going to be over on the Blaze. So Nate's saying you can bet on weather on these things. Pretty hacky. Yes, you could do a lot. You could make a good amount of money if you're good in prediction markets. You really can. You could make decent money. Their payouts have been pretty good. People have made a good amount of money on them. So I just want to, as someone who's a fan of Stu Bergier, of someone who's a fan of the Glenn Beck Show in general, I just want to congratulate Stu on successfully, being a part of them for 28 years. Obviously, we have Keith Malinak on the show every so often, and we've been on his show. He's a part of that Blaze family. You saw Pat Gray on the screen. Keith is Pat Gray's executive producer, kind of the Stu Burgier role over on Pat Gray Unleashed. But overall, it's going to be a different show and supporting Stu. However, we can hear he's someone with predictable. I'd love to have like his operation as a sponsor one day, maybe on the new channel. That might be a thing. But yeah, no, just wanted to give a shout out to Stu and what he's doing because I think that it's awesome. All right, we're going to jump to this story because we have G&G with coming out. Japan says it has lost $37 billion of anime. Well, but says that $37 billion of anime was pirated from their country in 2025 alone. And here's the article from G&G that we're going to go into and read. This is from Virginia Kablawi. And it says on Monday, January 26, Japan's METI, Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, shared the results of a survey it conducted on the internet piracy of Japanese content. The report shows damages of 5.7 trillion yen, or about $36.9 billion, in pirated content in 2025. This is a startling jump from 2 trillion yen, or $12.9 billion, in 2022, showing that amount of anime and other Japanese content that has been pirated has nearly tripled in just 3 years. Now, I want to say, part of the it's weird because I'm guilty of this because I don't buy all the manga I read. So a lot of the manga is read through manga readers, and they're starting to crack down on those more and more on the sources. But when it comes to anime, Hulu, Netflix, all these places having a whole bunch of anime has certainly helped in terms of probably evening this out, but it's also created more fans. And if you're a fan and there's something only on Crunchyroll is very gatekept. If there's something that's exclusive to Crunchyroll, they're not putting it out anywhere. And there's a lot of people that aren't going to want to pay the money to add another streaming service, even if they're a massive fan. On top of that, Crunchyroll blows as a streaming service. So I can see that with the popularity of Japanese stuff and anime growing, the pirated stuff is going to grow. That's just how it is. Neichi's saying, there's pyramids in Las Vegas built on suckers, same demographic, and I like sports betting. Listen, it is the same demographic. It's all people that like to gamble, like to bet, and if there's something that's a part of chance, they get that adrenaline rush. I've never been a big sports bettor. I've done it some, but I'm not massive into it. All right, let's keep going here. The report for 2025 includes new categories such as character merchandise. And if we factor these in, the amount of loss of piracy rises to 10.4 trillion yen, or about $67.4 billion. And they have here Jujutsu Kaisen. Consumers in Japan, China, Vietnam, France, and the United States, and Brazil were surveyed, and their replies were used to calculate the estimate of financial losses caused by the pirated materials. I'm interested to see what the questions were. The survey analyzed data based on 5 categories: film, including anime and video content; publishing, books, manga, etc. That one's going to be massive; music, video games, and character merchandise. Almost every category saw financial losses from piracy triple since 2022, with film and publishing seeing the most pronounced increases. Now, I don't know if this is because in some of these places they don't have as much access or affordability for some of the streaming apps, but I can't see in America that it's that massive considering there's anime on so many apps now. Publications saw a loss of 2.6 trillion yen to piracy in 2025, with film reporting losses of 2.3 trillion yen. One Piece is frequently cited as the most pirated anime of all time, but recent series like Jujutsu Kaisen and My Hero Academia have been illegally watched enough to make it onto the piracy charts. Now, One Piece is because One Piece is so goddamn long and people get tired. The losses don't include damages in sales of character merchandise. Video games lost 500 billion yen to piracy, and music piracy caused damages of 100 billion yen. And there's One Piece right there. The Japanese government claims that the actual amount of pirated content per person in 2025 is lower than in past years, despite the higher yen to dollar amount of damages. Rising costs, exchange rates, and increased numbers of people pirating content are among the factors that could cause the amount to continue rising. Japanese content like anime is becoming increasingly popular in other countries as well. In 2024, anime accounted for 8 of the 10 most pirated TV series in the United States, which I'm not surprised. Medi will continue working to reduce the piracy of content and the negative effects that go along with it by establishing new bases of collaboration with local authorities. They are also working to strengthen legal resources to protect against piracy. Blah, 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 blah. There's my hero right there. And they're aware, blah, blah. Okay, so the bottom line is there is a lot of piracy. And I do want to say, and I do want to recommend that people, if you like something and you really want to watch it, go find it on a streaming service. There's plenty of places, like I said. Even Tubi has a massive catalog. If you want a free service, go to Tubi. Tubi has a gigantic catalog of anime, and they obviously paid for it. So you can go there and you can find what you need to find there, especially with anime. There's so much access to it. Don't pirate it. You know someone that knows someone that knows someone that has a streaming service. If I really want to get access to Crunchyroll, I could if I want to watch certain things. So use it that way. Now, in terms of manga and stuff, I mean, I want to get my collection bigger. I like manga a lot, but I use a reader on my phone. I'm as bad as anybody. Well, I allegedly do. Don't come after me, Japan. But it's something that where I would say definitely go and support the official release. Go and support. If you like manga, go buy it. Order it online, Barnes and Noble, wherever you want to go. But go buy it. That's the best way to continue to support the creators, the mangaka that put their heart and soul into this, the assistants that are helping with shading and other things like that. What manga artists do is very different than what we do here in comics, because the mangaka are the ones that not only create the story, but also draw the characters. It's not like here in American comics where there's a different illustrator to someone that's putting the storyboarding together. It is a different type of process where I think it takes more, and they have a certain style that they do with manga, but it takes a lot of skill. So I absolutely support and will tell everyone to go and support your favorite official release. But I just found that to be a little bit staggering right there. So, all right, before we jump into another thing, I just want to let people know, because I've seen some stuff going around on the internet where I've heard people talking about how this current Super Bowl between the Seahawks and Patriots is going to be one of the most unpopular. Now, there's a myriad of reasons. There is Bad Bunny's going to fucking suck. It's going to be terrible. We're not going to be able to understand a single word he says. He's going to be wearing a dress. Green Day does suck. Their new shit is terrible. Their old stuff is great. Dookie, Nimrod, all that type of stuff. Even stuff from Minority and things like that. Fantastic. But in terms of anything else like that, they've been terrible since. But they're going to be there. And I mean, it's going to be, I'm hoping the Seahawks win, personally. Now, on that note, Nate G, real quick, I agree with you, except for sports, fuck blackouts. I agree with that, Pirate Sports. If your area has blackouts, and my issue here is the Yes Network sucks. The Yes Network fucking sucks. I'm a Yankees fan, a Nets fan, and a Devils fan. And YouTube TV doesn't give me MSG, doesn't give me SNY. I don't get Yes. So there's only one way I can watch my teams. I can listen to them on radio. That always helps. And honestly, radio is usually better. And that's what I'll do a lot of the times. I have Sirius. So if I really want to listen to one of my games, I'll just throw it on Sirius. Sirius has great coverage with all that stuff with the local support there. But yeah, no, it's ridiculous the way they black out local sports. We're in the Raccoon. How's it going? I appreciate you dropping in. And Nate G saying, hated Green Day before. It was cool. I didn't dislike Green Day until basically Broken Road came out, that album. I thought that was incredibly mid, and that was the start of their downfall. I didn't think that song was very good at all. And I know it was like one of the Transformers, like big songs and stuff, like at their end credits. I was actually working in the movie theater when I forget which one. It might have been Revenge of the Fallen, that the Transformers Broken Road came out with Green Day. But no, I liked old Green Day. Like I said, Dookie was great. Nimrod was really good. American Idiot, I think it was called. My minority. American Idiot. So Nate G saying, I live in Arizona. They black out the Avs, Mammoth, and Knights. Avs and Knights are the biggest rivals. They black out all of them? It's fucking terrible. That's awful. That should be illegal. But when it comes to talking about the Super Bowl, I honestly do not give a shit about the actual game. I'm hoping that it's a good game. I'm definitely going to watch. I know people are like, I'm not watching the Super Bowl. I'm watching the Super Bowl, okay? I love the Super Bowl. I love football. What I want to get through to people is while many people are like, no one cares about this matchup, blah, blah, blah. And don't get me wrong. I don't want the Patriots to win. I do not want to see Drake May already get a goddamn championship. And on top of that, I just hate the Patriots. But I want to let everyone around the nation know that the rooting interests are not just New England and the Pacific Northwest. Jets fans, by and large, are going to be very invested in this game. And here's why. We are rooting so fucking hard for Sam Darnold. A lot of Jets fans acknowledge that we let Sam down. And I know there was a quote circulating around that, Joe Douglas saying that, we failed Sam Darnold. We can't put a good team around him. He's going to be great somewhere else. And it took Sam a few years to get into the rhythm. But we are going to root for Sam hard. Jets fans are going to be watching this intently. And there has been nobody in the NFL besides maybe Sam Darnold's family that have been happier for Sam Darnold and his success. There is zero bitterness coming from the Jets brass and the Jets fans because we know we failed Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold did not fail us. He was young. He was raw. He still had some problems he needed to work out from college, but you saw that the talent was there. You saw it was there. He made some ridiculous throws. You go back and watch some Sam Darnold highlights, and he made some ridiculous plays. And this is also a guy that threw an interception on his first friggin' pass ever in the NFL with the Jets. It was in a crossbody pick six. That was his first pass that he threw in the NFL. But you could see the talent. My biggest criticism of Sam coming out of college was that between the 20s, he was a beast. And he showed that. He could move the football. But it was what he did in the red zone. And the red zone was his problem at USC. And the red zone was his problem with the Jets. Now, the issue with him in the NFL was that for his first years with the Jets, we couldn't coach him up. We did not have the coaches to improve him, to slow the game down. There's the famous game of him saying, I'm seeing ghosts, that was memed to oblivion. We could not do it, and we haven't been able to do it for years. We failed Mark Sanchez. We failed Sam Darnold. We failed Geno Smith. We failed Zach Wilson. We have failed every young quarterback we have had since Chad Pennington. We've been awful. And now I know people are going to be like, what do you mean you failed Mark Sanchez? Mark Sanchez made 2 AFC championships. Yeah, but it wasn't because of him. He played well down the stretch. Mark was a very, very, very clutch quarterback. I was always confident that if we had the ball with the last possession and we needed to go tie or win, and Sanchez had it, we were going to go tie or win. He was that type of quarterback. But it was the other 58 minutes that were always fucking iffy with Sam. That you didn't know, not Sam, Mark Sanchez. You didn't know what you were going to get if you were going to be in that position. And they never let him fully take control those 2 years. He would throw the ball maybe 20 times a game, if that. And the Jets screwed him. Number one, they didn't coach him up well enough. He had talent. Mark Sanchez did have talent. Mark Sanchez could still be playing football in the NFL today. And I mean, maybe not. He's in jail. But he could be playing. But what they did to him is they didn't coach him up properly. And then on top of that, they kept on taking away his weapons and expecting him to do more with nothing while not coaching him up. You move to Geno Smith. Geno Smith was there. Geno Smith broke his jaw, but on top of that, the Jets didn't do him any favors. They didn't coach him up. And then you go to Zach Wilson. It's the same story. It's the same story with the Jets. So I just want to let everyone know, everyone that's saying like, oh, nobody cares besides these 2 regions. The Jets care. The Jets care. We want to see Sam Darnold win. We like Sam Darnold. We are rooting for Sam. And there is a big pocket of New York and New Jersey that really want to see. We're going to be Seahawks fans for this Super Bowl. And if the Seahawks win and Sam Darnold hoists the Lombardi and gets an MVP, because God, he played fucking fantastic in the NFC Championship game. If he has a performance like that in the Super Bowl against the Pats and they end up winning and he gets an MVP, not only will Seattle be rocking, but I guarantee you New York Jets fans will be celebrating online with their friends everywhere, because we still enjoy Sam Darnold. We appreciate the quarterback that he was, came in, did his job. Don't know how the fuck he got mono. He needs to stop kissing hookers, and it seems like he did. But we're not going to be mad if he wins. We have a rooting interest. And it's rare. New York Jets fans never have a rooting interest. We have a rooting interest in the Super Bowl, and we will be doing that. So Nate G commenting saying, have a heart for the long-suffering Patriot fans. I know. How have they gone through it? I mean, they survived Cam Newton, which was surprising to say the least. But it's funny too, because I saw a clip that in Belichick's last game, when the Jets defeated the Patriots, it paved the way for them to get the pick to draft Jake May. Did we cause our own demise again? We did it when we knocked Drew Bledsoe out to get Tom Brady in the game. And then look what fucking Tom did. And now, I swear to God, if we were the reason fully why Drake May got drafted, which we are, and then if Drake May goes and ends up having a Hall of Fame career and winning Super Bowls, I don't know. I don't know what we should do. I've said for years we should fold as a franchise. It's the only way that I can stop being a fan. I will always be a Jets fan as long as the Jets exist. But the only way I can stop being a fan is if they fully relocate to a different state, which then I'd say kick rocks, or if they just fold. Either is acceptable to me. Either of them are acceptable. But God, if this happens again, if history repeats itself, I don't know what I'm going to do. But Nate also saying, I'm rooting for DeMarcus Lawrence. Cowboys failed him, just like DeMarcus Ware. I mean, listen, at least the Cowboys get to the playoffs. Honestly, Nate, I know Cowboys fans are always like, oh, we only get to the first round. But it's like, man, I would. If we just got to the first round every goddamn year, you know how happy I'd be as a Jets fan? It's been 15 years. 16 it's going to be. We're not going to the playoffs next year. The drought's going to continue. Nate also saying, I really like that Chad Pennington, Santana Moss combo back in the day. And also, don't leave out Lavernius Coles. Chad Pennington and Lavernius Coles and Santana Moss did very well with that. And did very well. And Chad Pennington was good. He didn't have the strongest arm, but he was the most accurate quarterback in the NFL. He dropped balls in there that looked like they should have been intercepted, and they would just be perfectly placed. So, no, I miss Chad. Chad had that awesome press conference where he was telling the beat reporters that it's a privilege to report on the New York Jets, and you should be honored to be here. And it's like, you know what? Fuck yeah, Chad. And then many years later, we are the laughingstock, as we always will be. That was our last time we truly, truly, truly had pride, was during Chad Pennington. I get it with Rex and Mark Sanchez, and we were good. But the last time we were a complete team, a good, complete team, maybe the Ryan Fitzpatrick year, but we didn't go to the playoffs, so I don't count it. But when Chad Pennington was there, that was right after Testaverde left, that was the last time the Jets were a complete team. Maybe, I don't know if we still had Johnny Abraham. It might have only been Sean Ellis rushing, but we had a good line, good linebackers, good corners and safeties, a very good offense. Like, we were a good team. Now we are the Jets. Caveat, how are you? Nice seeing you as always. All right, so let's go back. We're going to stick with sports here. Yes, we did ruin Tebow. Well, also, Tim Tebow ruined Tebow. Well, we're going to be honest here. Tim Tebow refusing to play any other position until the end of his career when he was already out of shape is what ruined Tim Tebow. He had one of the worst throwing motions in the history of man. Okay? His throwing motion was god-awful. That pass against the Steelers was dumb luck. I mean, he was exciting. But here's the thing when it comes to Tim Tebow and the Jets. Rex Ryan on the record didn't want him. He was forced to have Tebow and forced to play him by Woody Johnson. So, but yeah, no, we effectively ended Tim Tebow's career. And Tim Tebow is I think the best college player I've ever seen play. And that's a lot because I had Jameis as my quarterback at Florida State, and I fucking love Jameis Winston. But I think it's hard to argue that Tim Tebow is possibly the best college player ever. I know there's a lot of greats. I know you have Bo, you have Barry, you have Ricky Williams. You got Cam Newton, Vince Young. There's a lot of really, 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 really good collegiate players. Ron Dane could even be put in there. But there's a really good chance that Tim Tebow is the greatest to ever do it. And yeah, no, the Jets ended his career. We fucking suck. As always, we suck. But let's jump to this phenomena we have going on here. So Yahoo Sports reporting, and this is a few days ago, yesterday. Former Hornet and UCLA guard Amari Bailey plans to be the first player who appeared in NBA regular season games to return to college. This is per Daniel Murphy, ESPN. Bailey played 10 games for Charlotte in his rookie season in 2023-2024. Now, before I react, we're going to get a few quotes from Bailey on this very thing. So this is what Bailey had to say. One of them, he's saying, it's not a stunt. I'm really serious about going back. I just want to improve my game, change the perception of me, and just change the perception of me and just show that I can win. And he also said, I'm not trying to be 27 years old playing college athletics. No shade to the guys that do. That's their journey. But I went to go play professionally and learned a lot, went through a lot. So, why not me? Now, why not you? You had your chance. You made the decision to leave. And now because you're not getting the playing time you want, you're going to go back and try and take somebody else's position. Now, let me go see if I can find this real quick, because I did ask Grok about this very thing. And let's see if I can. Okay, here we are. There's Grok. So I asked him, which players are currently going back to college basketball after playing as a pro? And it says currently blah, blah, blah. So these are other players that are going back or have gone back. James Nahaji, 2023 draft pick, 31st overall by Detroit and later traded, who played professionally in Europe at FC Barcelona and briefly in the G League. He never played in an NBA regular season game. He enrolled at Baylor in late December 2025, became immediately eligible, making a high-profile case that drew criticism from coaches like John Calipari and Tom Izzo. That is one. Here's number two. Charles Bediako in Alabama. Previously played at Alabama from 2021 to 23, then went undrafted in 2023, signed a two-way NBA contract, spent time in the G League, including with the affiliates of San Antonio and Detroit, sued the NCAA after initial denial, secured a temporary restraining order in January 2026, and returned to the Crimson Tide roster. Thierry Darlin for Santa Clara, former G League player, 2 years after NBA Academy Africa, cleared by the NCAA in September 2025 and has been playing this season, considered the first major G League to NCAA success. London Johnson for Louisville, 3 years in the G League, cleared in October 2025 with 2 seasons of eligibility. He is redshirting this season. And Abdullah Ahmed, BYU, former G League experience, cleared in November 2025 and recently joined the program. So it stems from evolving interpretations of eligibility rules, particularly the 5-year window from high school graduation, combined with NIL opportunities and legal challenges to traditional professional status barriers. So I think this is absolutely batshit insane, if we are being quite honest. I don't like anything at all about this, because this now, like a lot of things in our current society, takes the responsibility off the shoulders of the individuals that are making these choices. Amari Bailey is just going to be the next one, but he played legitimate professional basketball. He played in NBA games. And now it's his goal to go back to college? How is that fair that you collected a paycheck from NBA and now you're allowed to go back and take a kid's spot that's trying to get there? Now, this is definitely some agents getting into these kids' ears saying, hey, you still have eligibility. Go play. And for me, especially with the NIL, because these guys are going to all get NIL deals because they're big-time players. They're going to dominate college ball. I feel like if you do this, though, you officially shouldn't be able to enter into the draft. At a minimum, you are going to have to go undrafted. And then someone will grab you after that. But to me, this just seems insane that these guys are allowed to go back. Because typically you would see like a player would either go college, G League, or go over to Europe. Those were the three routes that were thought. And G League was going to be there to compete with college. Nate's saying also the payout is larger in college. And 100%, that's what they're going for. Caveat Ty saying, what if he just wants his education? I mean, I didn't think of that caveat. You know, you're right. He just wants to go back and get smarter. I guarantee he's going to go to every single class. But Nate, that has to be the biggest factor out there. NIL is going to be bigger. And again, that's a joke. Because your goal should be to go. Now, I get it. For the kid that declares, then undeclares before the draft because they see they're not going to get picked or something, I get it. Nate's saying that's why Carson Beck played 25 years. That's true. Beck did play forever. But overall, I don't get it. I think this is an awful precedent. I've seen a video of Calipari going off about it. And he's right. And he's right because we're already seeing recruiting problems in the NCAA across all sports because age is a big deal. International is a big deal. And now we're going to have to deal with pros coming back. What's going to happen for that junior that goes to the NFL and then they get put on a practice squad? They're all just going to want to go back and get eligibility and just finish up their eligibility. We're going to see this happening because if I'm a football player and I decide to declare and then I get picked in the 6th or 7th, 5th, 4th, 6th, whatever, late round, and I go to training camp, I do rookie mini camp, and then they tell me, hey kid, you're a late rounder, you're practice squad, or you're going to be down the roster, you're my special teamer, and I really want to play, I'm just going back to school. Fuck it. Why would I stay? I think it's a terrible precedent to send a terrible precedent. I think the leagues need to act first. Like, I feel like the NBA should say any player that comes and goes is barred, period. Like, you can't come back. Now, that'll be hard, or you'd have to go to somewhere else. Like, if you leave, when you come back, you have to go G League. You can't be drafted, and you have to go G League if you come through us, or go to Europe and play a few years there. Like, there's got to be a barrier. There's got to be some sort of a penalty for jumping back and forth because that's just absolutely ridiculous. It makes a mockery of the sport, and it makes it so much harder for these freshmen, these high school seniors that are looking to go and try and get recruited. Because if I'm a college coach, why would I go and get a high school kid if I know that I could just go shopping in the fucking G League now for any players that might have eligibility? It's a terrible precedent. It is an absolutely wild precedent. Nate's saying due to the NIL and transfer portal, USC, Nebraska, Texas, Missouri, and Florida State had to cancel spring games last year. I remember that. Those aren't small schools. I do remember that. And I was pissed because I wanted to see Florida State's spring game. But they also canceled it. Florida State also canceled because they're terrible. And Mike Norvell didn't want anyone to see how bad they were going to be. That win against Alabama was such a friggin' fluke. God, I don't know how Norvell gets his job. Schools are going into debt for NIL. Yeah, I know. I know, it's crazy. The NIL is doing so much harm right now. It was so half-baked. It was so half-baked. It's such a terrible, terrible thing. But something that potentially is terrible is right here. So Paul George has been suspended for 25 games for violating the NBA's drugs, anti-drugs, and doping policy. And it's 25 games. And initially, my reaction was, the fuck's he doing? Like, he hasn't been good for a long time now. The injury really slowed him down, the gruesome broken leg. He came back and had a few good years since then, but he's just been kind of middling. Great defender. Fantastic. One of the best wing defenders in the whole NBA. And to be a good defender in this version of the NBA is so hard because you're not allowed to play defense. But Paul George is one of the best wing defenders of all time. But his offense just never came back. It was there for a little. He's been great at times the first few years coming back, but he's getting older. And I just think his body is failing him at times. He's not the same Paul George that we were used to, just seeing scoring prolifically however he wants. Still a valuable veteran, and Philadelphia is relying on him as the playoffs are coming up. But he gets suspended 25 games. Now, here is his response through Shams Charania, which it's crazy that he responds through him. But his response here, which I hate that. I hate X. Let me be able to zoom in X. Like, I hate this. But anyway, I'll read it. Over the past few years, I've discussed the importance of mental health. And in the course of recently seeking treatment for an issue of my own, I made the mistake of taking an improper medication. I take full responsibility for my actions and apologize to the Sixers organization, my teammates, and the Philly fans for my poor decision-making during this process. I am focused on using this time to make sure my mind and body are in the best condition to help the team when I return. So this is sparking a lot of conversation, because if it was truly a medication to help with mental health. Now, I'm also a person that thinks that many people that think they have mental health don't. I also a person that thinks that many doctors are profiting and making money off of telling people that they have mental health issues, giving them SSRIs and all this type of shit because they just want to continue to bring back pharmaceutical people. I'm in that conspiracy. But on that note, if Paul George's story is true and he was legitimately taking a substance that is for mental health, I think he should appeal the NBA. Now, I thought this was really good insight here from the guys. Used to be inside the NBA, now it's the ESPN tip-off, but it's the same TNT crew with Chuck, Ernie, Kenny, and Shaq. And I thought that they gave a really interesting perspective here, and I want to watch it and react to it. So let's watch it.
When you look at Philadelphia, they've been making a little move. Number 6 in the East right now, over 500. We pointed out the other day, they were never above 500 last year, haven't been below 500 this year, in playoff position. What does this do to them?
You know, it's good to have, everybody ready to go, the full team, when you're going into the postseason. It's unfortunate that this happened. But I just want to say that, they give us a booklet on what to do and what not to do. They give us a booklet. They also give you inside the booklet how long it takes to get rid of something. So,
which is kind of crazy to me. And that's a little bit of inside baseball Shaq has given. Obviously, he's been retired for many years, so he doesn't give a fuck. But they give us a booklet, what to take, what not to take. But then they tell us how long it takes for things to get out of our system. So it's kind of a little cheap book of, hey, don't take this. This is how long it takes to get out. So if we test within this window, you're fucked. That's interesting. That is interesting to me. Now, I feel like a lot of professional sports and even major collegiate sports do this as well, but that's an interesting insight.
I don't want to elaborate what he was doing or what he was doing, but, stuff like this should not happen because they give you the booklet that said, don't take this, and this, the letter of the law. Do not take any of these things. And when you've been in the league this long, you know what it is. They test you 3 to 4 times a year. So, but this is definitely going to hurt him. But, listen.
That's basically also saying to Paul George, like, hey, Like, he's saying that something like this shouldn't happen. He was just basically they're saying to Paul George, like, hey, this is on you. Like, you know that there's these windows. You should have known when to take this drug, when not to take this drug, type of thing.
Edgecombe's been playing great. Maxi's starting to play a little bit better. Embiid is coming back. They still have a little bit of momentum. So somebody else have to step up. But when you're going into a postseason, you like to have a guy with experience like Paul George.
Well, if this is the accuracy of what happened, isn't this an oxymoron? Like a contradictory of terms? Like you have mental health and you're taking medicine for it that you can't. That would be, to me, that's why I don't understand it. I'm not sure what drug or medicine that he was taking, but that is a contradictory of terms.
So I agree with Kenny here that now the thing is, here's the problem with this though. And they're going to talk a little more and I'm going to elaborate, because if I'm taking a mental health drug or I'm prescribed one by my doctor and the thing is, when you do this stuff, and if you're a professional athlete, I know everyone has their own personal shit and things like that. But if it's something that I might think should be fishy, there's people in these franchises that are paid to know if something's good or not good. So I don't know if Paul George just didn't know that this was in it and he was just trusting his doctor and he didn't know that this substance was there. And I'd imagine the ban list is massive too. It's not small and it changes all the time. But again, there's even Paul George individually should have people around him that know, okay, this is good. This isn't good. Don't take this, take that. We just got tested. This is the time to take it. Like even outside the team. So it's one of those things where I feel like if it's a mental health drug like this, any new drug that he's getting, he should take to his team and then have it taken to the league and say, hey, Paul's going to be taking this drug. It's for this reason. We just want the league to know because we don't know, or we do know it's on the list, but he was just prescribed this by his doctor. And I know this happens with asthma because you're not supposed to use an inhaler for athletics. It's a performance enhancer because it helps open up your lungs. But if you have asthma, you get an exception to use this. Like I know, again, high school athletics in New Jersey, you weren't allowed to have a tinted visor. It was just a rule. But my friend who I talked about, who's still going on for the Shadow Jumpers, their spin-a-thon is going on. If you'd like to support Shadow Jumpers, please go. They're reaching their goal of $200,000, which was fucking amazing for them. But please go and shadowjumpers.org, go there, support their spin-a-thon, donate to that. But he was an individual that was allergic to the sun. He got an exception to that rule. He was allowed to be decked out head to toe, full visor on his whole face mask covered so that nothing got on his skin because he had a medical exemption. If you have a condition, a mental health condition, any new drug you are prescribed that you are supposed to take, you should bring to your team right away so they can bring it to the league, not to ask permission because fuck that, but to inform them, hey, this is going to be in his system. So if you come and you test Paul George and you see this drug in his system, it is because of this reason. So to me, Kenny and Chuck are both going to make a little excuse, but there almost isn't an excuse. So let's keep going.
Sure that Adam Silver wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
That doesn't
Adam Silver's also
add up
terrible
to me because, again, it's a contradiction. If you have mental health, there is nothing that you should take that help you that you can't take.
That's on that list.
There wouldn't be a list for that. There wouldn't be a list for that.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's not on that list.
It couldn't be.
But even if it's on the list,
they would let you take.
They would let you take that for mental health.
Now I want to say real quick, I haven't seen Chuck in a minute. Chuck lost a lot of weight, man. Good for Charles Barkley. At least from this, Chuck lost a lot of weight. Good for Charles. I know Charles. He was 6'6", power forward. Always been a pretty big dude. But man, Chuck lost some weight. Good for Chuck. Trying to join that train.
Mental health.
And listen, Kenny, I'm 100% agree with you. It's something fishy going on here. Now, I don't joke around about mental health, but if you're taking something for mental health, that's got to be an outlier to the NBA.
Not a performance enhancing
Yes.
drug.
Come on, man.
That doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make, listen, like I say, as my girl Judge Judy said, if it doesn't make sense to me, it don't make sense because I like Paul George. But if the NBA and, DeMar DeRozan, who we love, and Kevin Love, they've been the two most outspoken advocates for mental health. But if you're taking some for mental health, even if it's
How many more times can Chuck say mental health?
on a list, you should get a hall pass. So this does not sound.
Is that the rule, though? I mean, 'cause I
No,
don't
I don't know the rule, but that just doesn't make sense.
Like, there's never.
I like what Shaq is doing here, that he is at least trying to keep the conversation within, like, is that the rule? Is that the rule that because you're taking something for mental health, that you're exempt from this issue? And if there is something in the rules saying that if it's for an underlying thing, now I'd imagine it would have to be cleared by the league first. But if Paul George can prove that this was for mental health and not performance enhancing, I can imagine he'd win an appeal and come back sooner. The fact that he's not fighting is a little fishy. I'm not going to lie. He should be fighting this if that's truly what it was for. Nietzsche saying Ozempic for sure. Probably, but I'm happy Chuck's looking good.
A good reason taking performance enhancing drugs, Shaq. But if you're taking a drug for your mental health, you should get a hall pass.
And I would put it like this: if you were having a heart attack, and they gave you medicine to stop your heart attack, and then you played 2 weeks, and that wouldn't stop you from playing.
My counter to that is that if you had a heart attack and you took the medicine, that medicine would be documented. The NBA would know about it. So hence, if they tested you, they would know it was in your system. This is where it goes sideways for me, because responsible players would go, and you knew to do this in high school. You knew to do this in college. If you were going on to a drug that especially if it is a prescription drug, you're going to inform your team. You're going to inform your athletic staff, your athletic training staff and stuff, so they can make sure it is cleared. And if it isn't a cleared substance, that it's an accepted substance, you can get that exception. So that's why with this, I'm kind of...
Like, to me, the league wouldn't do that. So there has to be something else that they have to address, or that is coming out, because it just doesn't make sense.
We don't need any players suffering from mental health. If they got a pill out there that can help you with that, you should get a hall pass. But this sounds fishy.
And again, 25 games for Paul.
So I like the guys there. I thought it was a really, really good conversation that they had. And, I like that they gave all their opinions. I like the ESPN tip-off guys now. I hate that. I want to say I'm tied to the NBA guys because they were that forever. Nate say, can players take Diana Ball for mental health? Yeah. I mean, the question, right? Like, if they need it, go take it. It's going to, I mean, I don't like this whole entire just because it's for mental health, they could do whatever they want type of thing. It's almost like the same argument of Don Lemon. If you have a camera and a microphone, you can go wherever. No, fuck you. Nate saying also, I'm sad that, and the only thing that makes me happy is D-Ball. But yeah, so there's that with Paul George. Like I said, I think it's a little fishy. I think there's part of it's a little fishy, because you should inform the league if you have anything like that. Now, maybe he just made a mistake. Now, maybe Paul George just fucked up, got this from his doctor, needed it. I mean, if he's suffering from something, and he needed it, and he just started taking it and didn't think anything of it, didn't think it was going to be an issue, didn't believe it was going to be banned, and he was like, hey, whatever. But now it is, so he's going to have to deal with it. Caveat to saying, if you're trans, you can do whatever you want. Of course. Or otherwise you're a bigot if you don't let a trans person do what they want. Didn't you know that? Transphobic. Are you transphobic, Rowan? You bastard. But anyway, so I want to jump to this. Now, I don't have anything set up for this. I just want to talk about this real quick. Now, yesterday, the 3 million, I guess, pages left, along with like 100,000 photos, 20,000 videos, something like that, 8,000 videos, were just dumped of the Epstein Files. A fuck ton redacted again. Not surprised. Not surprised there that it's a ton redacted. But they were released. And a lot was redacted with people's names. And that's pissing people off. Now, I did not take the time to go through all the Epstein files. I've seen a bunch of stuff. I've seen Trump's name is there, Prince Andrew's name, Bill Clinton's name is there. Mom Donnie's mom is in there. I've seen all the snippets from just scrolling through X. Here's my thing. I hate the way that they're dumping these. They're just dumping them and they're just leaving it out there. And they've done this with the MLK files. They did this with the JFK files, where they just dump and go. Okay, here, you want them, you got them, take them. My issue with that is that now, since there are so many files out there, it is now just up to us to just go and sift through it. And maybe we should, right? But what this does is it leaves it up to the worst actors to just go to these things, press Control F, and then type a name. And now, oh, I found this. I found it. And throw it on, take copies, throw it on the internet. Look what I got. Look what I said, blah, blah, and just implicate. And we've seen that. We've seen a million of those where everyone is taking bits and pieces of what they want from the Epstein file dump and using it. You have the left blowing up about Trump's name being in there, which I just want to remind everyone that's like, Trump is in there. He's a pedophile. You fucking people are stupid. If Trump was actually guilty, and if these actually said he raped girls or he was a part of it or he knew about it and truly did nothing, do you think he would have released it? Do you think he wouldn't have redacted his own name in there if that was truly the case? So I just want to say to anybody on the left, on the right that's big on this, if you are truly saying that Trump did anything or is truly implied, you're an idiot. Period. You're just stupid. And there was no talking to you about it. But when it comes to everything else, I have not sifted through it all. I'm not looking through 3 million pages on top of whatever the 2 million other they released. It's important to have them all out there. I will leave it to some smarter people to compile a list of those that are actually confirmed in these files of doing shit. But I also hope that people still continue to demand that we get more unredacted stuff, because there are a lot of names in there that are obviously redacted and they're protecting a lot of people. And this whole debacle on Epstein has been a major black eye. Unless Trump can get this economy absolutely rickrolling and can cure all of his foreign shit, it's going to require winning the midterms or at least keeping a status quo or only losing one chamber and not the other. But unless he could do that, this black eye is going to be massive. It is going to be a massive smudge on the record of Trump, whatever else he accomplishes. Because not only do we not have a comprehensive list, which they could compile, right? The FBI, the DA, Department of Homeland Security, DHS, DOJ have had these for a long time now. You're telling me they can't pull out the names of people that actually did things and compile it and give it to the people? 100% they have it. They know it. Kash Patel knows who it is. Pam Bondi knows who it is. They all know. Dan Bongino fucking knows who it is, but he can't say anything on his show, which he should. Dan Bongino should just come out there with his own list that he wrote down of everyone that did shit. And just put it out there. Fuck it. Because that's what the rape victims are, the grape victims are demanding. But the other issue is, who's getting arrested? I know Ghislaine is still sitting in a cell. Epstein was killed himself, but was murdered. But who's getting arrested? We're getting these dumps, right? But who's getting arrested? Now, are we going to find out later that the redactions were there because they didn't want the individuals to, if they didn't want to hurt a jury trial? But what are you waiting for? If you have this information, if you were able to sift through and redact it all, you obviously have the evidence there needed. Now, I know people aren't going to want to hear this, but you're going to need to give Ghislaine Maxwell something in order for her to testify. And that's awful. And I know people aren't going to want to hear this. I hate it. But Ghislaine Maxwell's sitting in a cell. She is going to be the star witness to put away anyone that they maybe are going to arrest. If they arrest them, they're going to have the survivors and stuff, and that's fine. The victims are going to go on stage, but the most damning one will be if Ghislaine Maxwell will take the stand. If she's willing to, she's going to ask for things in return. She's going to want less of a sentence. She's going to want certain things. Like, it's going to be a part of it. And I know people are going to scream from the heavens when Ghislaine Maxwell is a free woman eventually. Because that is what people need to realize, that the more than likely trade-off that we will see to put away the individuals that did the SA to all of these girls are underaged is probably going to be Ghislaine Maxwell getting clemency of some sort, so that she will go on the stand and basically put these individuals away. And I think that's a trade-off that we need to look at. Because again, the victims going up there are going to be powerful. But the people that are going to be implicated are also going to be incredibly powerful. They are going to be people that can afford the best lawyers. I mean, Bill Gates is implicated in there. You think Bill Gates isn't going to get the best lawyers? Steve Tisch, the owner of the Giants, is implicated in there. You think he's not going to get the best lawyers? Bill Clinton, even if Trump goes on the stand, you think they're not all going to get the best lawyers? And the one that's going to be able to put them all away is going to be testimony from Ghislaine Maxwell. And that's the unfortunate part of all of this, is that in order to put away the people that did the act, more than likely, Ghislaine Maxwell is either just going to get a bunch of time taken off her sentence every single time she speaks, or she's eventually going to be a free woman. Because she was the person that, for all intents and purposes, connected everyone. And I think that's the angle that people aren't thinking of. We want these pedos taken out. I'm a part of the wood chipper gang. That's what I believe. But at the very least, we want to see them placed in prison for the rest of their lives. But it is going to come with a cost, more than likely. And the thing is, are you willing to trade Ghislaine Maxwell's freedom, the woman who set this all up, in order to get either all or the bulk of the individuals that did this? I don't know. I want to see these individuals brought to justice. I don't care if they're world leaders. I want to see them brought to justice. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Trump. I don't care if it's Elon. I don't care if it's any of them. I want them all brought to justice. But man, it's going to suck if Ghislaine Maxwell's walking around again. Like, it's one of those things where if Ghislaine Maxwell walks around again, I just hope she commits another crime and can go to jail. But like, that's probably what we're looking at, unfortunately. Because like I said, if they try to put Bill Gates on the stand and they arrest Bill Gates, God, Bill Gates is going to be so lawyered up. And they are going to try and poke holes in everything. The DOJ needs to be airtight. And I do not know if I can trust Pam Bondi's DOJ to be airtight. I want to. But like I said, you're going to have the victims coming up. You're going to have them testifying. That's going to be powerful. But they are going to have people testifying against them, testifying against their character and everything. Because you got to remember, a lot of these girls were girls that were from some troubled time. They had things that it was already reported. A lot of them had issues in their home life. They were doing things. And then they got abducted, essentially. Doesn't make it right. But they're going to go after these women character. They're going to talk about all these acts and things that they did. And it's going to get gruesome. The one person that will be able to put away all of these people is Ghislaine Maxwell. Caveat Ty saying, how does Maxwell get a job after being released? can she write a tell-all book? So that is one. She can write a tell-all and people would read it. But number two, Ghislaine Maxwell's family is old money, caveat. Her father, I think, was a Mossad agent or very close to Mossad, worked with Mossad CIA. They were already wealthy, multi-millionaires, if not billionaires themselves, the Maxwells. So Ghislaine is never going to need to work. But she will definitely write a book. She's probably working on one now. But that's the unfortunate part of this whole thing. And I think people need to think about that and wrestle with that. Nate saying she wouldn't last 5 minutes. She'd be under witness protection at best as well. See, I don't know. I don't know about that because what Caveat said. She wants to write a book. She wants to write a book. She wants to make herself look like she was a victim. That's what you're going to see, Nate. She's going to do everything to make herself see, that was like, she's going to want to make herself seem like the victim that Epstein was like kind of stringing her along. She already tried that in trial. Nate saying Robert Maxwell was the premier Mossad agent. He magically disappeared off a boat of the Mossads. Yes, he did. I remember that. And Caveat saying, yes, I knew her father was wealthy and died mysteriously. Exactly. So that's the unfortunate trade-off that we're going to need to wrestle with. And if it gets all of them, like that, my thing is like, I don't want it to trickle, right? I don't want it to just be like one or two and it's not the big fish. I don't want to waste giving this vile fucking human freedom because that's what she's going to want and that's what she's going to get. If we're going to have her testify, and I really don't give a shit about Prince Andrew. I don't give a fuck about him. I think he should go to jail, but God, it's going to be so hard to put the Joe royal. I get it. He gave up his titles, but it's going to be difficult to put a royal to prison. But it's Bill Gates. I want him gone. Bill Clinton. I want him gone. I don't know who else is there. I saw Jay-Z potentially was in there. Pusha T was potentially in there. There's a lot of names being thrown in these files, and we are going to find out more and more and more and more. I know BX on X, she has been sifting through them, and BX has a lot of good stuff. She was the one that talked about the 764 gang on Roblox forever, and she does deep dives. I'm sure Savvy's going to do some deep dives. So there's going to be people that I trust that are going to be putting out more. And as they put out more, I'll talk about it more and talk about the individuals that they find in these files. But overall, it's crazy. Caveat saying, but he is white. He might go to jail now. Yeah, but he's on the right side, Raul, and that's the issue. He votes the right way. And we've known forever that these people, if you vote the right way and have money, you're double protected. But we'll see. We'll see what goes on, but that's kind of my perspective on the Epstein Files. Now, I also want to come out with this because one thing I have heard from the right-leaning influencer space, podcasting space, and this is coming from a Glenn Beck, from a Tim Pool, from people I listen to, I like. Their newest angle to, I guess, protect against the release and when it's going to be bullshit. And it seems like this was kind of an angle that the White House gave out. Because it has to be, because there's too many people saying it. But that now that the files are released, it doesn't matter. All the incriminating stuff was definitely gotten rid of during the Biden years. And before that, it changed hands so many times. The incriminating evidence is gone. I hate that narrative. Because that's just downplaying it. And that's just basically saying, we don't need these Epstein files. Not a big deal anymore. It is what it is. It's such an easy cop-out for why the files haven't been released. And they now are. They're heavily redacted still, but they're out there. But I just hate that line of all the incriminating evidence is definitely gone. You don't fucking know that. Have you read through all of them? Probably not. You have no idea if it's all gone. And unless you were being told that, and if something you already know, and if that's the case, then that's something Trump should come out and say. That's something Kash Patel should have came out and said. If the case that the files that were incriminating are gone, which it doesn't seem like there are. It seems like there's a ton of incriminating shit in this 3 million that just came out. But if that was the case, because Kash Patel was famous for going on Glenn Beck saying you're going to have them the next day, going on shows saying, I've seen them, we're going to get them released, blah, 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 blah. And if he came back in as the director and saw that all the files he saw have some mysteriously been gone, that should have been out right away. It should have been out. Now, they shouldn't have been accusing. They should have been like, we don't know how or who did it because it's hard to prove, but they should have been saying that right away. That's why I don't believe the narrative that all the incriminating evidence that would have been incriminating is gone. No, shut the fuck up. That's just carrying some water for why this has been handled so terribly. And again, I mentioned Glenn and Tim, to their credit, they have both repeatedly said that the Epstein stuff has been handled terribly. And it has. It's one of the worst things that Trump has ever done. But to now come out and all this, I've multiple individuals I've heard saying, there's going to be nothing there. They've gotten rid of it. Bullshit. Even if they have, get it out. And which they did, which they now did. And like I said, people are going to sift through it. I'm sure as fuck not looking through 3 million files on at a time. But people are going to sift through it. The redactions are going to be heavy. But that's the biggest thing that we're going to be calling for, is as the names get compiled, as the evidence gets heavy, we're going to need some arrests. You want to talk about arrests? This is where the arrest needs to come from. Obviously, I want to put Fauci in jail. Obviously, I want to put Blinken and all those assholes away. Probably Joe Biden. But Joe Biden will be useless. You'll have no idea if he's going to jail at this point or not. But I'm more interested in putting the high-profile people that participated in Jeffrey Epstein's shit. That's me. I want to put them away. I want to put them away. I want to see them get the death penalty. Because fuck those people. More than anything else. Nate G saying, I never give the government the benefit of the doubt. Me either. I'm always skeptical of them. But all right, that was the Epstein stuff. That's all I have to say about that. If there's new stuff that really comes out, if we get like a actual comprehensive list from anyone that I give a shit about, then I will bring it up. We'll talk about the list and we'll kind of go name by name and wonder if anything's going to happen. Doubt it highly, but wonder if anything's going to happen. But all right, I want to go to this because I think this is just an absolute travesty. So Hotspot over here has a federal judge rules that Luigi Mangione will not face the death penalty for allegedly killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in December 2024. Now, this was a New York judge. And my reaction to this is, how do we get this judge gone? What recourse is there to removing a federal judge that rules so heinously? Not just a rule I disagree with, but this is as heinous as it gets and as terrible as it gets. There is video evidence. Now, again, do I think Luigi Mangione may be a patsy? Maybe. I still hold that he might be a patsy. But at the same time, there is video evidence of this individual killing a man in cold blood, shooting him in the back. Caveat I saying nothing good comes from New York. Yes, but you still watch Caveat, so something good is here. Or you just like to watch a clown show. That might be true. But he shoots a man in the back, in cold blood, kills a father of kids, a husband, a son. And you're telling me that the federal judge orders that they can't pursue the death penalty? And I listened to Pac Ray Unleashed, apparently. They're dropping it down to second degree murder. Second degree? Not even first degree premeditated? There's something wrong here. I don't know what the process is to remove a federal judge, but man, it has to happen. We have to start getting on that process because this is awful. This guy should be put on national television with his back and be shot because of what he did to an individual. Same thing. This should be an eye for an eye. And I know as a good Christian, I shouldn't be saying that, but Jesus Christ. Caveat I saying clown shows are great. And also saying, does New York even have the death penalty? No, New York doesn't, I don't believe. But because it is a federal crime, the feds can pursue the death penalty. It doesn't have to necessarily be the state rule. Caveat to saying I thought they got rid of that. So yeah, no, it's because it's a federal investigation. It's not a state one. So that is the difference, I believe. But overall, this is an absolute travesty. Luigi Mangione should be facing a death penalty, and the fact that it's only second degree is also absolutely wild to me. But it's terrible. But all right. So, but speaking of some things that are decent, Don Lemon got arrested, y'all. BNO News breaking. This is on the 30th. Don Lemon arrested in connection to protests at church in St. Paul, Minnesota. Now, this happened late night on the 29th while he was reporting over at the Grammys. So we go over to here and we find out some of the charges. Eric Doherty has the charges over here, saying he's been federally charged with 18 U.S.C. 241, conspiracy to deprive rights, 18 U.S.C. 248, violation of the FACE Act. So those are the things he's being charged with, which pretty major that they are charging him with that. But here is the unfortunate part, because activist judges should be removed. Variety has a judge ordered Don Lemon released on his own recognizance after he was indicted for interfering with the religious service during an ICE protest in Minnesota. Judge also denied the government's request for a $100,000 bond and refused to restrict his travel to New York and Minnesota. So this activist judge has decided, he could do whatever the fuck he wants. The federal government is going after him, and now he can do whatever he wants. We're going to deny that. Like, this is, again, judges need to be removed. We need to figure out, I don't know what and this is, it's a, a lot of people are going to say it's a slippery slope to do that. No. If a judge is doing the wrong thing, and they show a consistent pattern of it, not properly interpreting the law, but doing things by ideology, they need to fucking get removed. We can't worry about slippery slope. We have to do the right thing now when it's the right thing. Caveat Ty saying, squeeze that lemon juice. Then Nate saying, it's Minnesota. No jury or judge will understand the religious aspect of the First Amendment. This is true. This is true, and I hope they can get his trial moved. I hope they can get it moved since it's federal from Minnesota, because he won't get a fair trial there. They'll let him off completely. But to this, Jack Posobiec had a response that I thought was pretty apt. No bail for Lemon. Luigi death penalty dropped. The judiciary is totally politically captured by the left in multiple jurisdictions. The GOP isn't ready to confront this. And they're not. I'm truly wondering if it would take an act of Congress. If it would take an act of Congress in order to remove a judge. And if that's the case, then it's never going to fucking happen. It's never going to happen because we all know Congress is useless. I'm looking. How can a federal judge be removed? There we go. Federal judges are appointed for life and can only be removed through a two-step impeachment process. The House of Representatives must vote to impeach by a simple majority. The Senate must convict by 2/3 majority. They are removed for treason, bribery, other high crimes, and misdemeanors. So here's the thing. Why are we not impeaching all these judges? At least getting them through the House. Why are we not doing the same exact thing that they were doing to Trump? All of these judges that are doing these types of things, especially like Boasberg's bitch ass, should be impeached. At least have it go on the record that the House impeached them. We know we're not going to get 2/3 of the Senate, because there's such a slim majority. But man, they should all be impeached. Because this is a joke, especially the Mangione one. It's a joke. And you might actually even be able to get Democrats on board with that one. Because that one was an act of cold blood. That wasn't an act of a cold-blooded killing. So you actually might be able to get enough Democrats on your side in the Senate to impeach that one. But the act should be done. The House playing fucking tiddlywinks and doing jack shit is the worst. Nachi saying that'll never happen due to fake gay Republicans. Yeah, honestly, the Republicans have quickly become the Tories. They are exactly what the Tories were in, Tories are in Britain. And I mean, they're awful. Now, don't get me wrong. Reform is just as bad now. Reform is bad. UKIP is better, but UKIP doesn't have any institutional power. But reform is just as bad. Reform is just what the Tories migrated to, and they fucking suck. Nigel Farage is going to be a terrible prime minister when he gets that. I don't know if he's going to be worse than Keir Starmer, but he might, because the Conservatives were worse than the Labour when they had power in Britain. But here, the Republicans have quickly become the Tories. They might as well just call themselves the fucking Tories over here, because they're terrible. Now, as always, the activist pretend journalist, I'm not giving him that credence. Don Lemon has to go on his little diatribe here. So let's see what Lemon's had to say.
Last night, the DOJ sent a team of federal agents to arrest me in the middle of the night for something that I've been doing for the last 30 years.
And he's correct about that. Number one, I'm happy they went in the middle of the night to get him, because we've heard about these raids of Bannon. We had Steve Friend on, and Steve Friend was fucking raided and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm happy. I'm absolutely happy they did that. But that comment, something I've been doing for 30 years. Yes, being an activist. You were arrested for being an activist, and this time you did it in the wrong way, because you actually broke laws this time.
And that is covering the news. The First Amendment of the Constitution protects that work for me and for countless of other journalists.
It's always funny too, and I heard this, I forget who I heard it from. I think it might have been on Side Scrollers with This is the Ray, who we just had on. He was just on Side Scrollers, but This is the Ray, I think, brought it up. Maybe it was Phoenix, that, and I've heard many people say it, the leftists only use the Constitution when it's when it applies, they think it applies to them. Because Don Lemon is the first person to tell you we should probably change the Constitution. It's a living, breathing document. It's a dusty old document. Doesn't apply anymore. But you know what? No. Now I'm going to bring it up because I think it benefits me. Caveat ties. I don't know if I can handle listening to him. Well, I'm going to put you through 10 more seconds of that torture.
Who do what I do. I stand with all of them, and I will not be silenced. I look forward to my day in court.
So this loser, and here's the thing that's sad. Nate, like you said, Minnesota, if they stay there, we're fucking toast on this, okay? Because we know Minnesota is not going to do shit. But speaking of some more insufferable stuff, TMZ of all places had to chime in, because TMZ, the bastion of journalism, had to make a comment here. And apparently he was inside the Epstein Files. This the owner, I don't know who the fuck his name, Harry something. Apparently he was there. But let's see what the bastion of journalism, not a glorified fucking rag, but the bastion of journalism, TMZ, Don Lemon, had been arrested. Could this change democracy forever? Which, fuck you, we don't have a democracy. We have a representative republic. So let's hear what this joke has to say.
So the Trump administration wonders why people are saying that they are trying to form a dictatorship.
Now, mind you, this is the same group of people that fucking laughed when Charlie Kirk got killed. So remember this.
Well, look at the landscape. Arresting Don Lemon, who covered a protest in Minneapolis.
Now, this is choosing to be ignorant, because we know TMZ has absolutely seen the videos of Don Lemon chilling around, palling around with the organizers beforehand, showing that he was friendly, showing that he knew exactly what they were going to do, and also knowing that exactly what they were going to do and supporting it. It's not like he was just there on the side asking questions. He was supporting what they were doing. He became an activist the moment he kissed that fucking bitch on the cheek, the organizer, okay? So I don't want to hear this, oh, he was doing what he was doing. Nate's saying, in good news, 74,000 went to Penn State's outdoor hockey game today. Win for the glorious game. Yo, Penn State's massive, because in track and field, they had, I think, like 6 800-meter men go under 150. One of them setting the number 2 all time. The other one setting, I think, the number 6 all time in the 800 for the NCAA. And then for the women, they had like the number 11 all time, and a few women dipping right under 2 minutes or at 2 minutes. Like it's insane. Penn State had some good news these past few days. But Let's keep going. I don't know how much I can listen to this.
Is just insane, ridiculous, dictator-like. This is the playbook that dictators use to destroy democracies.
What's funny is, I don't remember TMZ putting out a big video when Trump got arrested, when a political opposition that was running for president got arrested. More than likely at that time, too, they knew he was running. I don't remember TMZ putting out a video when Bannon and Navarro got arrested and raided. I don't remember TMZ putting out a video when protesters who were not doing anything violent at J6 got arrested. I don't remember them saying that that was the playbook of dictators, which it is. I don't remember any of that. I don't remember any time. Nate, you saying anytime this clown talks, I vomit in my mouth. Yeah, I missed that video that they did. I missed it. Maybe they did. I don't know. Maybe they did. I missed that video.
And take the will of the people away. It is as simple as that. The First Amendment.
The will of the people. Nobody wanted to listen to Don Lemon. He was fucking fired from CNN. The will of the people was for Don Lemon to shut the fuck up.
Is the First Amendment for a reason. It is considered the preferred amendment when you have to start balancing what's more important. The framers of the Constitution.
Bullshit. This is a non-understanding of what the Bill of Rights and the Constitution was. There is no preferred amendment. The Bill of Rights were laid out in a way that they were just what they were saying, that these were rights from God. Rights that the government does not grant, that the government cannot give, that the government cannot infringe. We don't ask our government for rights. These are rights given to us by our Creator. There is no preferred amendment. And that's a dumbass way, because this dumbass probably doesn't even know what doesn't like 2A. Nate G saying, didn't have anything to say when Alex Jones was fined the GDP of a European country. Exactly. Nate G, leftists don't even know that it covers religious practices. Absolutely.
Constitution knew that a free press was essential to a democracy.
Fun fact, no, they fucking cared. They did not. Because right away, the Alien and Sedition Act were there. Okay? So to not know your history is retarded. They didn't give a fuck about a free press. Okay? They went back on the Alien and Sedition Act. But they absolutely were trying to shut people down early on. Again, not knowing history is a terrible thing. And if they do, it's just willful ignorance.
Without a free press, you don't have a democracy.
We don't have a democracy.
It's real clear that Donald Trump and company doesn't want a free press. The idea that a journalist, which Don Lemon has been for 30 years, would walk into a church and film a demonstration which is of national interest, and then to say somehow...
But on top of that, the moment that the pastor of that church asked him to leave, he was committing a crime anyway because he was trespassing. And I'm bringing back to this as a Ray from Side Scrollers yesterday, because he brought up a good point, because obviously Ray, as talked about on the show, worked for the Washington Redskins. And he was talking about, they're calling him an independent journalist right now. But in order to have the rights of a journalist when you're at these types of things, you need to have some sort of credentials that protect you. That is where the access and protection come in. It's not enough to just have a microphone and a camera to grant you those protections. Like, there is certain protections that the press does get that we allow them to have. But just being there and saying, well, I'm an independent journalist, doesn't mean anything. That means that anybody can go and be like, I can go anywhere I want because I'm an independent journalist. And that's not true. You can't. There's a reason why they do hand out press credentials, because the press credentials give those individuals certain immunities and rights. Don Lemon didn't have any press credentials. That was not a credential thing. He was not coming from there. And so, no, he has no protections in this situation.
When you watch the video, they say he's part of the protest. Watch that video.
He was.
He is covering the protest. He is covering it. That's what journalists do. I covered riots. I was a local reporter in Los Angeles for 15 years, and I covered riots and floods and earthquakes and all sorts of things where I had to step into areas where there were police, where there was activity, private property.
But he was also probably had a legitimate press pass, number one. And number two, he wasn't arguing with the people like Don Lemon was. Don Lemon was not there to cover it. Don Lemon was there to be an activist, to argue with people, to put them on the spot. Like, there's a difference between a journalist who was just there to ask some questions and get some answers. Don Lemon wasn't interested in the answers. Don Lemon was interested in pushing forward the activist agenda.
When you're covering an event like this, like a protest, which I've covered many, you step into it. And that's what journalists do. And that's what Don Lemon did. The idea that the Justice Department is saying he walked onto private property, that is insane.
But it's also a violation of a federal act. Because here's the thing, this scumbag wouldn't say the same thing to another journalist, regardless of what side they were on. If there was a protest in a Planned Parenthood and the individual that was a journalist walked in there and started trying to interview and grill the leader of Planned Parenthood, as the leader was saying, this is ridiculous. We're just trying to do our job. Everyone should leave. And they're gallivanting around, making sure everyone's uncomfortable, getting in people's faces and screaming at them. No, this fucking scumbag will be screaming FACE Act violation. Arrest them all. When that's exactly what he and the organizers are facing. FACE Act violations, which every single protester there that can be identified should also be arrested for the FACE Act. Because they all did it. So that's the most annoying part about this.
Church invites everybody in. Have you ever seen a church with a no trespassing sign saying no journalists allowed? Have you ever seen any house of worship that says that? It is insane.
But they were also asked to leave. The church has no rights in his eyes. The church just has to be open doors. Okay, it's not private property, apparently. Apparently, a church isn't private property. Apparently, a pastor isn't allowed to ask people that he wants to leave to leave. Apparently, the congregation isn't allowed to tell people to get the fuck out when they're trying to protest. Apparently, he's okay with every church being protested. So, a house of worship. Okay, let's shoe the other foot. A bunch of Christians go into a mosque, screaming and yelling and protesting, holding a bunch of bacon and fucking pork and yelling at these people out there, a bunch of terrorists and they're scumbags and this and that. Is he going to defend them? No, he's not. No, he's not. He's going to talk about how disgusting it was, how it was terrible, how these people are insecure, they're Islamophobic. Like, I hate to shoe the other foot because it's done so much, but man, sometimes you just got to, because when people talk out of their ass like this douchebag, you gotta make sure you bring it up and put it on record just how much of a contradictory scumbag this guy is.
Insane that they're making this stupid argument transparent. And yet, a grand jury indicted Don Lemon.
Which is hilarious. Which is the biggest thing. A Minnesota grand jury. A Minnesota grand jury indicted him. This isn't a grand jury from fucking Alabama. This is a Minnesota grand jury. A Minneapolis, Minnesota grand jury was said, hey, it's good enough to indict him and bring him in. How much more do you need? How much more do you need? And now he's going to go after the grand jury? The fuck, man?
After a magistrate said there's insufficient evidence. Well, a grand jury will indict anybody because Don Lemon doesn't appear before the grand jury.
So this guy's talking about the process, right? This guy just went on about the First Amendment and how important the First Amendment is and blah, blah, blah. But now, which is also in the Constitution, talking about a grand jury, that's a part he doesn't like, so he's going to poo-poo it. Because he's not in front of him. The grand jury, we don't care about grand juries. When grand juries have been one of the biggest ways to indict. I mean, Donald Trump was brought in via a grand jury. Did he disagree with that? Because Donald Trump didn't get in front of the court at that time. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like this, again, these people only use the Constitution when it's important to them. And they also don't know it.
Abby Lowell, his lawyer, doesn't appear before the grand jury. The Justice Department says what the Justice Department wants the grand jury to believe, and almost every time they believe it. It's all the way it's skewed. This is a ridiculous assault. And I don't want to say just on the First Amendment. It's a ridiculous assault on democracy. Trump administration should be ashamed of itself, but they're not. And they will continue to.
Can they arrest this guy for treason just because? Like, I know it wouldn't stick, but just arrest him and make him have to fight his way out of it. Like, honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to starting to do the same things the leftists do. Just go after all these people with knowing that they're going to get off, but make them have to spend a few $100,000 defending himself. Make him have to go, force him to potentially have to go to discovery. Because I'm tired of these fucking people.
Do this. And they are going after journalists. They're getting search warrants for their homes. It is obvious what's happening in this country, people. Look at what is happening. You're going to look back in 2 years if somebody doesn't stand up to them, and I know people are now, but you're going to look back in 2 years and say, wow, we didn't see that coming. Well, Neville Chamberlain should have saw it coming, and he didn't.
Which is crazy. Again, the comparison to Nazis. Nate's saying, who still watches TMZ? I have no idea. But making the comparison to Nazis, who should have saw that coming? God, it's anyone that makes a comparison to this group of this administration to Nazis is automatically someone to not be taken seriously. They're not, you just should laugh them off. Like, the conversation should be laughed off. The most you should say is you're a moron and move on. Well, let's give this idiot 10 more seconds.
And we don't want to be in that position. So wise up, everybody, because it's obvious what's happening here. This is an outrage. So
we made it. Dum. We made it through the 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Now, unfortunately, guys, I'm going to hurt you even more with the few. So, but I wanted to share this one next, though, because the response, James O'Keefe, perfect. FBI raided my newsroom and you said nothing. Of course. Because you got to remember, James O'Keefe wasn't the right type of journalist. He wasn't the correct type of journalist. Not the journalist that TMZ likes. So again, if they like you, we're going to defend you. If they don't like you, you're not the right one. So I'm sorry. So what I'm going to do on one of these episodes, we're going to do like no news. I'm going to read, which I don't know if everyone has read, Herbert Marcuse's Repressive Tolerance. And because that's exactly what's going on here. And I found the PDF of it. And we are just going to read and go through Repressive Tolerance because it's exactly what we live in right now. We live in Herbert Marcuse's world where you defend the left does no wrong, and the right does nothing correct. You excuse violence on the left while demonizing even the minor things on the right. And we're going to read it, and I'm going to go line by line because I want more people to hear about it. Because the more people that read what leftists believe, the more you can see through this dumb shit, like this idiot that's talking right here. So it's ridiculous. Don Lemon deserves to be in jail for the FACE Act because he knew what he was doing, and so do all the protesters there. They should all be in jail for the FACE Act because the bottom line is you are not allowed to enter and interfere with the place of worship. And their goal was not to go in there and to worship. Their goal was to disturb the worship because they believed that an individual pastor that is there either works for ICE or is a supporter of ICE. And that is not for political purpose. That's an absolute violation of the FACE Act. They should all go to prison for it. Okay. So right here, Variety has this thing from Giancarlo Esposito. He was famous for Breaking Bad. You've seen him in a whole lot of other things. He wants a revolution, y'all. So let's hear what this guy has to say. As you know, remember, guys, these are the same type of people that were constantly saying before, we got to turn down the rhetoric. Nate's saying Royal Rumble was asked to. I didn't watch it. I saw Liv one. I saw Roman Reigns one. AJ Styles was retired by Gunther, which is appropriate. He should be, when he retires, Gunther should be the one that retires everybody right now. But yeah, I heard it wasn't great, which is, WWE is floundering. I think we could see a day in the not so distant future where WWE is a thing of the past, and maybe professional wrestling is not. Maybe it'll be a smaller thing, but nothing like we're used to. But let's see what Giancarlo Esposito, a happy leftist, has to say here.
This is time for a revolution. It's time for it, and they don't even know that's what they're starting. You know, some very rich old white men are exerting their power.
Which is so pompous. Some very rich old white men are exerting their power. I'm sorry, Giancarlo Esposito. You've gotten all your money and fame from some very rich old white men. Without those very rich old white men putting your dumb ass in movies, which you've been very good in, and shows, but without them putting you in, you don't have this platform to speak. So again, the very rich old white men that he likes are fine. Let's keep going.
To suppress our own people, thus creating a feeling of civil war in the streets.
And it's funny too, where were they when they were suppressing the voices on the right? When all the shadow banning was going on YouTube, when Twitter was a place where everyone was getting banned. Donald Trump himself got banned. Alex Jones got banned. Nick Fuentes was banned. Everyone was basically banned. You had to watch the way you speak. We still have to watch the way we speak on YouTube. They don't speak out for that. And now talking about civil war, Giancarlo Esposito would not be affected by a civil war. None. It would be so annoying.
Preparing the haters to hate, teaching them how to shoot. They're not even trained right, to kill.
Teaching them how to shoot, they're not trained right. This is the assumption, right? The assumption that because agents are new, they weren't trained properly. Who the fuck is Giancarlo Esposito to say what proper training is and isn't? What do any of these individuals know that have lived in this bubble of Hollywood know what's proper and improper? They don't know jack shit. Nate's saying no Seth Rollins, no Y2J, no Powerhouse Hobbs, name-changing Powerhouse Hobbs too. Yeah, I saw that. But yeah, no, it's let's see what we can get through.
This is all a preparation for a very insidious problem that's happening in our world. And for me, I have to speak out that we will not be iced out. This is not going to happen. They can't take us all down. If the whole world showed up.
I mean, this guy is dangerous and he should be put in cuffs. Things like this. And I know I'm getting heavy with that, but like this is trying to ferment resistance of the federal government. And maybe you're allowed to say this, maybe this protects speech, but caveat to saying what's with that snooty outfit. I mean, that's just Giancarlo Esposito. He's always been out there with that. And he's a fantastic actor, which I hate about this. He's such a good actor. But like this speech might be protected, but it's visceral. And it's the type of stuff that the leftists have been crying about. We need to turn down the temperature. And then they go and they do this shit.
On Putin's doorstep or on the Iranians' doorstep or in Washington, it would stop. They'll kill 550 million, however, but the rest.
Listen to that. They'll kill 550 million. He's willing to sacrifice up to 50 million people to get his revolution. Anyone that listens to this and goes, yeah, just realize he doesn't give a fuck about you. And he actually doesn't know what's going on. None of these celebrities know what's going on. They're not tapped in. They're in their dumb little bubbles and they have no idea what's actually going on.
Of us would survive with a new. This is time for a revolution. It's time for it, and they don't even know that's what they're starting. But we have to be strong enough to know that we can change the world. And
the thing is, this is what leftists always want. Leftists are always looking for revolution. And again, when an idiot like Giancarlo doesn't realize, or whatever it is his name is, what he doesn't realize is they will come after him. They will come after him. Renee Good and Alex Preddy believed in this simple Jack. Yep. Please die for me so I can show it to Trump. That's just aggressive.
Have to change it from within. So if I'm spiritually ready and right, and I'm ready to understand other people and to agree to disagree with them and say, okay, let's find the solution together, then that starts to change things, not by deporting immigrants.
So here's the thing. So where was Giancarlo Esposito on Charlie Kirk? Because that's what Charlie Kirk was trying to do. Charlie Kirk's whole thing was, I want to go have conversations and see if we could find middle grounds and disagree respectfully. Where was he when Charlie Kirk, which I didn't see him make a grandiose statement and condemn the shooter and tell everyone, hey, we should be more like Charlie Kirk, even though I disagreed with him? This guy's full of shit.
not by killing brown and even white people on the street. It's
Oh, that hurt so bad. That hurt so bad because he couldn't just go to the only brown because the two white people were the ones killed by ICE. Brown and even white people. He had to hurt him to say because the whole racist fallback he can't do.
Crossing over now, and believe me, this is gonna really spark the nature of so many people who are gonna show up and say no more. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take it anymore.
So here's the thing. This guy's still getting work. He's still a prominent member of Hollywood. And this is where the right sucks. This is where we lose. Why? Whatever he's in next, there should be massive fucking protests for days. Anything he's filming, the right should find out where it's filming, and we should be outside there protesting him. Specifically, protesting him. And putting up signs of all the people killed by illegal immigrants and things like that, and out there for days protesting whatever work he is doing. But this is why we lose, because we won't do it. This asshole is going to get to talk about revolution and going to get to talk about fermenting it, and he's trying to get people to go out in the streets and kill people that don't agree with him. That's his only goal. When you say it's time for a revolution, that means violence. That means war. That's not just pretty talk. That is not just talking. That means that he is promoting and saying, we need violence. We need death. We need to kill people that disagree with us. So there needs to be protests of this man. He specifically should be protested. Now, we're going to go to another one right here. I don't know if we're going to get through 4 minutes of this. But Molly Ringwald, this is from Retard Finder. Go file I5 retards. But this is her 4 minutes of a diatribe. See what she has to say.
I don't spend a lot of time doing this, talking to you like this, unless I'm, I don't know, recommending a foundation or telling you to get your kids vaccinated.
Now, I do want to say Molly Ringwald still looking pretty good here. Good for her.
Against meningitis. But I feel like I can't stay silent, and neither should you.
I can't stay silent. I'm in my mansion, and I'm just watching MS Now and CNN, and I am seeing what they say, and I'm going to try and just regurgitate it because I'm important.
There's something horrible going on in our country right now.
And you heard that from both. There's something horrible. You heard that from Giancarlo Esposito. You heard that from the TMZ guy. There's something horrible going on. Caveat Ty saying she needs new foundation. I mean, granted, maybe she didn't put on a ton of makeup here. And she's going a little more natural.
And we have one of the greatest countries in the world. And I've always been so proud to be an American. But right now, this is a fascist government.
And when these idiots, Caveat Ty saying, I don't know what you're talking about. Her face looks melted and fake. Maybe. When these idiots use the term fascist, she has no idea what the fuck fascist means. She has no idea where the fascist theory started, what fascism is, what they do, what their actual ideology is. She's just throwing out a term that she has heard. The issue with actors and actresses are that just because they play people that are intelligent sometimes, we tend to think that they're intelligent. Most of these people like Molly Ringwald, she's fucking retarded, okay? She doesn't know what she's talking about at all. Caveat Ty saying like the plastic surgery wore off. Maybe. I don't think she looks awful. I've seen worse.
It's not becoming a fascist government. It is a fascist government.
Talking about.
And ICE is brutalizing people. And I don't care how you identify. If you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican, if you're independent, if you don't like...
Nonsense. Yes, she cares. When people say that, yes, they care. Yes, they care. Because if you ever were a Republican, you're never going to be able to do enough to get back in the good graces of these people. So I hate when they say, I don't care what you are. No, bitch, you care. You 100% care because you hate me. You hate everything about me. You have been the same person that has called me a Nazi, a bigot, a fascist, an Islamophobe, a homophobe, a racist, a sexist, everything. So no, you do care and you get no pass.
to be political at all. It doesn't matter. You have to look at what kind of country you want to live in. And I don't think that I need to remind you, just give a little history lesson here.
Real quick. I just want to throw out there, the reason why so many of these celebrities are mad is because they're going to be losing their help. Honestly. They are risking and they are fearing that they might be losing their help because they're bazillionaires and they have a lot of illegals more than likely on their dime doing everything for them in their lives. And they do not want to lose their potential help. And we've heard them say it. We've heard people saying who's going to wipe our asses. There's been politicians that have said that about these people. They have let it out where they're like, well, who's going to work in the fields and who's going to do all this? Who's going to do all the jobs that Americans won't do? This is all that these individuals are good to for them. They don't want people being kicked out of the country that shouldn't be here because maybe their lives will be a little inconvenienced. It has nothing to do with anything else. But let's hear her history lesson. I love these people.
Quick. But, if you look at what happened in France, where I lived for a few years in my 20s, they were taken over by the Nazis. They were invaded, they were taking over, and a lot of people collaborated.
So they gave up. There's also that. They gave up. And the people that gave a shit left. And now, why did they give up, though, Molly Ringwald? Do you even know again, she doesn't know what she's talking about. They gave up because they were weak. They militarily were not ready to fight the way they were supposed to. The whole First World War was fought on their soil. They built the Maginot Line against Germany to defend this. Didn't put it up against a free nation, a Belgium, and that's where the Nazis came. They were not prepared to fight. Hence why they gave up and they were occupied. They gave up. It's not like Germany came in and fought this great war. The moment Germany came in, France barely did anything. They completely gave up and surrendered.
And then there were people that did not collaborate and were part of the resistance.
Who escaped to Britain, Charles de Gaulle. And Charles de Gaulle would not agree with a single fucking thing going. Caveat saying, what does her living in France have to do with it? More than likely because she's going to talk about how she talked to people and how they would never stand for this. All the French do is protest. It's all they're good at.
Eventually, they got their country back. And those...
Bitch, how'd they get it back? They didn't fight in the war. Charles de Gaulle and the freaking Free French went with Britain and were basically special forces with them. They got it back because America came in and America and Russia won the goddamn war. That's how they got it back. You skip a big part of it, Molly Ringwald, because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Caveat ties, I should know. Mama, I used to live in France.
People who collaborated were found to be criminal. And that is what's going to happen. I mean, you should not support what is going on just because these are human beings.
A caveat. Nate, we're collaborators. Yeah. She's saying we're going to die. This is what this bitch saying. We going to die.
And we are human beings and we cannot forget our humanity. But if you don't care about that, if you only care about yourself, then realize that you are going to be seen as a collaborationist.
A collaborationist. Not a word, by the way, you dumb bitch. How they got it back. Exactly what I was going to say. So, again, here she is threatening anyone that doesn't agree with her. Threatening us.
Okay? And I don't think that anybody wants that. I don't think that...
I don't think you want that to happen to you. This is what leftists do. When they don't get this way, when they don't get their way, they kill you. When they don't, throughout history, when leftists don't get their way, they use violence. And then when they gain power, they kill all those that disagree with them. You know, it's so funny that they talk about Trump in the way when all of their side's leaders, Hitler, Stalin, Mao, Pol Pot, what did they do? They killed all their political opponents immediately when coming to power. Hitler had the Night of the Long Knives. Stalin murders all of his fucking opponents, and we've seen it done all throughout time in Russia. He murdered all of his opponents and will consistently have his whole entire cabinet and people that are his handlers killed because he thought they were going to murder him. Chairman Mao would have whole Politburos murdered because he thought that they were against him. Like, these people do not know what they're talking about. They have no idea what history is.
Anybody wants to be on the wrong side of history.
You're on the wrong side of history.
So please, please use your voice and protest. You know, these are.
I agree with her. We should also protest. The right should be out protesting, not fighting, not doing any of that, but we should be out protesting. Molly Ringwald, we should protest her. Protest Molly Ringwald specifically. And we should make it shameful to be this stupid. We should make it shameful for idiots like her and Giancarlo Esposito to speak in public and make them not want to do it anymore. Not do anything to them wrong, not fight anybody, but we should make it so obvious that they're idiots. We should stand outside of her house and just start reciting shit that she wouldn't know. Nate's saying they also kill people who agree with them. Well, yeah, people like her, people like Giancarlo Esposito, they're useful idiots. They are just useful idiots. Nate's saying Stalin killed all the soldiers that simply saw the West. Yup. Rollins saying we have jobs though. Rollin, not for long. Not for long if this is our mentality. If we can't do it because our jobs are more important, then when they get in power and they'll know who we voted for, they'll know what we did, they'll know who we talked to, we won't. If we're not willing to fight for it now, then we will absolutely lose it later. Because the bottom line is these leftists are getting more brash and more bold. And they are seeing that we are coming to a precipice, ideologically at least, where they're getting figured out. And whenever the leftists start to get figured out, they go into extremes. When they notice they're in their death throes and they know more people are waking up to them. So what are they doing? Their next phase, if the leftists get power again, it's going to be to subjugate. The next phase of the leftist movement is now subjugation. And they're already using their patsies as they're rioting all around the country over ICE. This is just their reason to riot. They don't actually believe any of this. Molly Ringwald, they're useful idiots, okay? They don't believe any of this. They don't believe there's a real reason to rally. They're using these people as agitators, and they're all around, and the next is going to be to subjugate. And anyone that doesn't go along is going to be put in a camp and killed, either one. Nietzsche's saying there's no right-wing job corp for protesting. No, but we need to do it organically, and we need to do it the right way. Maybe there needs to be. Caveat ties, I think they're getting more bears and bold because they're losing. They are. They're in their death throes, but they kill people when they're in their death throes. Nate saying, who's feeding your kids to stand outside that actor's house for months at a time? I know. I get it. It's tough, but if you want to keep a country and you don't want to be, because here's the thing, Nate, Rollin, me, you guys are obvious conservatives. They're going to look and know you are. Our histories online make it very obvious. They're going to know I am. If you don't think that they're going to come after us, they're coming after us. We're peons, but we're examples. We're going to be examples for our community. Don't go against us. These people are relative unknowns, but we're going after them too. I've read too much history about this to not know. Let's see what else we can get through.
Children. These are children who are being taken away from their parents.
No child was taken away. And she doesn't say shit about Charlie Kirk's kids. She doesn't say shit about the United Healthcare CEO's kids. She doesn't care about that. She cares about illegal immigrants who came here the wrong way.
These are mothers who are being killed. These are fathers. These are ICU nurses. These are people that are good people.
Alex Preddy was not a good person. We're finding that out, okay? We are finding out that he was there and he knew he could die. He was in altercations with Border Patrol already. Renee Good was just an idiot who was unfortunate. Neither of them deserve... Listen, Renee Good was her own actions, probably a mistake, but her own actions that caused her to die. Alex Preddy's was an unfortunate thing. But, I mean, to talk about these people like they're glowing, shining beacons and great examples, they're not. Neither of them are.
that now their families have to grieve them for doing nothing except for standing up what's right.
And she doesn't talk about all the innocent victims all the time that are killed by not only just illegals, but just for random no reasons, for gang initiations or just because. She doesn't give a fuck about any of that. It's so performative and bullshit. All this is performative. None of these people that are getting taken away by ICE and deported are getting killed. They're getting deported because they're here wrongfully. And a lot of the ones that are getting deported, I think it's like almost 75%, do have a criminal history in this country, not even just in their own, in this country, on top of coming here illegally. That's who she is defending. She's a shit person. Anybody that defends this is a bad person. Period. It's not even close.
For what's right. For keeping women from being brutalized by these monsters.
She didn't talk about all the little girls who were brutalized from all the illegal immigration, from people that were taking little girls, raping them, and using them over and over to get across the border because they had no real reason to be here, to just use chain migration. She didn't care. I bet you she was one of the people that talked about whatchamacallit, God, what was the movie about Tim Ballard? I always forget its name. Was it Sound of Silence? Maybe. Possibly. I keep on forgetting his name. Nate, caveat, you guys will know. But she probably called that movie bullshit because it's just the leftist talking points. These people have no brains of their own.
And they are monsters. They are human beings as well, but they have forgotten that they're human beings and they have become monsters. Please don't let yourself become like that. Please remember your humanity. Think about your kids.
You know, Molly Ringwald was never a great actress. Sound of Freedom. There it is. Thank you very much. She was good in The Breakfast Club. She was shitty in most other things. But God, her acting's gotten real bad. This is bad acting right here.
Think about your grandkids. Think about your sister and your brother. These are all people who have kids or...
All right, I can't listen to this bitch anymore. Honestly, it's embarrassing. We're going to go to one more embarrassment. We're just going to get through with it because I can't. I can't deal with that anymore. But John Leguizamo, his dumbass, had 2 videos here. Let's pull it up.
If you follow ICE, unfollow me. Don't come to my shows and don't watch my movies.
So he had that to say, which he's not important.
3,
this is the other thing. Yeah.
Fund state-level resistance infrastructure.
You know, I actually don't give a fuck about what John Leguizamo says. We're moving on. We obviously realize these people are fucking dead in the brain. Nobody cares about John Leguizamo. Nobody cares about really Molly Ringwald. The only one that has any sort of pull is Giancarlo Esposito, and that's just because he's a fantastic actor, but he's also an idiot. Nate's saying it's awful. I'm just getting disturbed. I'm just getting annoyed. I'm actually getting pissed, so I can't continue to watch it. I'm just legitimately getting angry listening to them. So real quick, we're going to go on to a few more things before we get out of here. So Disclosed TV, Trump is preparing to nominate Kevin Walsh, which is now official. The son-in-law of Ronald Lauder and the former steering committee member of the Bilderberg Group to be a next Federal Reserve chair. Think about your third cousin's nephew's niece's roommate's dog walker. Agreed. Dog walkers, yeah, maybe illegal. Who knows? But so here's the thing. I'm seeing people talking about this pick a little bit, that he has a relationship to Trump, this and that. Well, people need to understand, and this is what I'm trying to get at with this. Nothing more than, because I don't know anything about Kevin Warsh. I don't know a fucking thing. I know he's been a part of the Fed before on the Fed, like a board or whatever. But what people need to understand is when it comes to the Fed, which should be dissolved, we shouldn't even be talking about the Fed anymore. The Fed is not a part of the federal government. They are the 5 biggest banks that combine to make a board to decide shit for everyone in terms of financials. They should be gone. The Federal Reserve should be gone. We shouldn't rely on them anymore. But what people need to realize is Trump can't just nominate someone on his own. He is given a list by the Fed board of people that they would accept as Fed chair. So he just is picking from a list that was provided. Now, he found the person that is probably going to lean more within what he wants. But from what I've heard, Kevin Warsh is not exactly simpatico with everything Trump wants to do. Is he going to be more favorable than this current douchebag? Yes. But it's not one of these things where it's like, oh, Trump is just picking his friend. Trump picking from a list that was given to him. If it happens to be someone he already has a prior relationship with, or has family it's a prior relationship, then cool. But that's all. I don't know much about this. I'll learn more probably in the coming days. But it's so stupid the way people look at these things. Nate G saying, I really love my dog walker, probably more than the borders and sovereignty. What are borders? We shouldn't have those. But all right, so last few things here. This, I want to talk about. Nicki Minaj was over with President Trump. And I know a lot of people are kind of scratching their heads as to why Nicki's been hanging around. Let's hear what she had to say. This was about the Trump accounts. She was there to talk.
I am probably the president's #1 fan. And that's not going to change. And the hate or what people have to say, it does not affect me at all.
Which I have to say, it is dope to hear Nicki come out and say this. Now, I wish she was more vocal when he was being persecuted. I wish she was more vocal during the 4 years of Biden. But again, it's hard to be brave there when you have a community that's against you, where she is in that media entertainment community.
It actually motivates me to support him more. And it's going to motivate all of us to support him more. We're not going to let them get away with bullying him and, the smear campaigns. It's not going to work, okay? He has a lot of force behind him, and God is protecting him.
What's funny is she kind of talks like him there. Caveat Ty saying, I'm not the hugest Minaj fan, but I can appreciate her courage. And Nate saying, still don't like her music. My thing with Nicki Minaj, I'm not a fan of Nicki's solo songs that she does on her own. I think she's a monster in her features. I think she's really good when she's featured on songs and she could just rip one verse. I actually really like her there. But I've never been a huge fan of like her own songs. Let's finish up what she has to say.
Amen.
Okay. Thank you. Stay right here.
So there's also pictures of them holding hands. Like she legitimately is a fan of his. So I thought that was cool. But a lot of people that I saw covering this were like, oh, it's great. She's courage. And we didn't know Nicki. We're happy Nicki was there, blah, blah, blah. But I want everyone to know, I knew Nicki Minaj was a Republican for a very long time because I heard this one line. Now, pardon a lot of the verbiage on this because it is a rap song. It's from Mercy, which has it's Big Sean, it's Lil Wayne, and it is Nicki Minaj. And here is one of the quotes. Now, this song came out in September of 2012. And right here, I'm a Republican voting for Mitt Romney. You lazy bitches is fucking up the economy. Now, just remember who was president when she dropped this line. It was Barack Obama. The pressure that she probably had on her to not use this line. And Mitt was running against Obama. The election was 2 months away. And she dropped this line on a very big song. Mercy was a massive successful hit. And she was a part of the remix with Lil Wayne, which was also really big. And for her to drop this line, I'm a Republican voting for Mitt Romney. Like, that is when I knew. I'm like, whoa. Now, again, Mitt Romney's milquetoast. But for her to even say that on a rap song, especially at that point when the whole culture was all for Barack because he was the black president, you have to support the black president. And she goes out there on this song saying, fuck all of you. I'm a Republican. I'm voting for Mitt. You guys are fucking up the economy. That's pretty cool. at that moment, I thought she was awesome. And I mean, she was, at that point, I was like, and this is back in 2012. So she's been this way. It's not like this is new. I knew she was like this 14 years ago, obviously. So it's not like this is new that she's a Republican. She probably has voted for Trump every single time. So I just want to make sure that people know that when they see Nikki out there, it's not like she's just now fair weather, one of the, I'm just going to go, I was a Democrat, but I'm floating to Trump people. She's been a Republican. And so I think it's dope. And I just remembered this line, and I remember hearing it because I like rap. And I remember listening to this song, and I had to play it back a few times. I'm like, did she really just say on a Lil Wayne song during Barack Obama's presidency that she's a Republican? I'm like, woo, that's pretty sick. Nate's saying, I like rap, but not modern product. Remember when you had to actually rhyme? I agree. Gambino and old Danny Brown is about as modern as I like. I mean, I like Kendrick too. I think Kendrick is good. J. Cole's not necessarily new, but I've always liked Jay. Jay's was big when I was at the end of high school. J. Cole came out, but still like Jay. Gambino I like. Gambino was really good. But yeah, no, there's a lot. But I just wanted to throw this out there because I thought it was really cool. It was a good thing to bring up, I think, because I think people just think Nikki has just jumped on the Trump train and stuff like that. But no. She's been down with conservatives for a very long time. And I think that I just wanted to bring that up. I don't know many people that remember this line, but I just thought it was a cool line there. But we're going to end off with this. Greg Gutfeld has returned to the 5. And Greg Gutfeld was taking no fucking prisoners. So this is a long one, but man, is it juicy. So let's go with Greg.
Greg, not very nice.
That's not very nice. What did she just do? Excuse me. Nothing you said matters. Every single thing.
So really quick, Knowles claims she was a conservative for a long time. Yes. Tech 9 was a soundtrack to high school. I love Tech 9. Oh my God. Worldwide choppers and all that. Everything. Listen, Tech, old school E40, strange music. I love strange music with Says Crew and Chris Calico and that whole group. I mean, it's fantastic. Party-wise, anyways, I'm a metalhead. I like metal too, so don't get me wrong, but I like a little bit of everything. Caveat Ty saying this was beautiful. Yeah, let's watch this. Let's just enjoy this.
Back, Greg.
No, everything you said does not matter. Because it doesn't. Because everything you mentioned are the consequences of the. Oh, you can go ahead and scoff. How did we get here? Pull back. How did we get here? An open border that let millions in, and you guys didn't give two
Alex
F's about. Okay,
not great for that border.
All right.
It's amazing. Jessica Tavlov just doesn't know when to stop. And he was going to go on his thing, but I don't think he was going to go as hard. When Jessica Tavlov just started making fun of him, he goes off. And this is a thing of beauty.
Had dozens of deaths where you didn't say shit. Jocelyn Nungary, Laken Riley, Rachel Morin, Molly Tibbetts. I'm going to just do it because this is just, I can't believe that we're still talking about this stuff. Here's 3 pages of women who have been murdered by illegal aliens in the last 7 or 8 years. The 7 or 8 years that we've been here talking about this and mocked over it. When we showed the embassy, showed the border being overrun and people laughed at us. And now you're here. It's like you're the maid trying to clean up a mess and somebody there is staring at you going, oh, you got to clean it up better. No, you made the mess. This is the Democrat Party's mess that we're trying to clean up. And you're saying, wow, these ICE agents are using terrible language. We don't care.
Honestly, I just have to say, as much as Fox News is very meh at this point, God, it's people like Gutfeld and Jesse Waters that make you want to keep coming back. And Greg Gutfeld is fantastic. I remember accidentally watching Greg waking up in the middle of the night one night when Red Eye was on. And I watched it and I'm like, what is this on Fox News? It was the most, you didn't expect it because it was so pushing the envelope. And I am incredibly happy for Greg Gutfeld. And that Greg Gutfeld went from being a late night comedian, which he is a funny fucking guy. He's a comedian as well, but to being, him and Jesse Waters are the two preeminent conservatives on Fox News right now, and they are holding it down, and they are fantastic. Let's keep going here because Nate, it's still. You're saying he dropped it, yeah, Nate. You haven't seen nothing yet. We're gonna keep rolling.
I'm bored by this. I'm absolutely bored by this. I'm bored by the Nazi stuff. I'm bored by the concerned people in the media. They were not concerned when innocent women were raped and murdered. They didn't care about the 50 who died when they were incarcerated under Obama. They didn't care about the 27 or 30 that were shot under Obama. But now they care now. You deserve no attention on this. You deserve no credibility on this. It's actually
beautiful,
comical because here's my feeling. It seems like you're ready for another one. You had Good, that went for a couple of weeks. You had this
100%.
guy, went for a week or so. You're going to need a third one. This is what this is about, because this is what creates the motivation for this drama.
And he's hitting it right on the head that the revolution always needs blood. And that if these leftists want the revolution, they just need to continue to get things fed to them. And this is exactly what they want. They want the revolution. I've said it before. Waltz and Frey were happy. We're happy to see their own citizens get killed because it continues to further the revolution. The true believers are okay with their foot soldiers going down because they are the ones that firmly believe that if a few eggs get cracked making the omelet, then that is A-okay to them.
This drama that could have been prevented if you guys just listened to the sensible people. Why is it that the cities that aren't sanctuary aren't having any violence?
The facts he drops here are
Why
awesome.
is it that the rate of violence in what's the name of the city? Minneapolis is 5 to 7 times higher than cities that are 3 or 4 times larger?
I did not know that before he said that, and that is a wild number because we know Minneapolis, Minnesota is a decent sized city, but we usually take it with St. Paul. The Twin Cities are what make it a major city. Today, that Minneapolis alone is 5 to 7 times higher than significantly larger cities is an insane stat.
Why is that? You guys are always feigning this performative ignorance since
do.
you don't understand things. You never explain your own ignorance.
The crown, Nate.
Why is there so much violence in Minneapolis and not in Texas? Well, see, there are different people. There are people who, when they hear an awful crime, when Molly Tibbetts is murdered, they think of their wife, they think of their kids, they think of their sister, they think of their mother. What do Democrats think about? There's a step before they even think about their family. They think, how does it affect my public persona?
100%, because I see it all the time on my social media. I see it from these leftists on Facebook, these fucking boomers, and they're just trying to make this big show about them, about what they can't take anymore. There's nothing to do with anything else. It's all performative. They actually don't care. None of them care.
How does it affect my potential politically? How do I deal with this so that I get instant gratification and empathy? We don't think like that. We don't care. You can call me a monster that's saying all these people get deported. I don't care. I don't care about any of this performance anymore, Jessica. It's done. And you know what? Neither does Trump. People are voted for the law. They want the law. If you want to cry about murders and rapists, do it on your own time.
Just really quickly, a bunch of Democrats.
You didn't get enough chance since I've been gone spewing this nonsense. I'm now back to correct the record that people need to hear.
Okay. Well, the record is that there were a bunch of Democrats that voted for the Laken Riley Act. So that matters. And the record also shows that people who are here illegally commit crime at much lower levels.
I would also notice that
they keep on, and the thing is, she goes right back to that stupid talking point. But man, Greg Gutfeld absolutely nails it. It's a perfect way to end it. Just him sitting back, cracking up because it's absolute nonsense she was spewing. She knows it's nonsense. And I'm excited to see Gutfeld go and fucking rip into these people some more. It was great. Nate just checking, saying the way you said it, I wasn't sure. Yeah, no, I saw the crown. And he did drop the crown. He is a friggin' dog. And I loved every moment of that. All right, everyone. That's going to be the show tonight. I appreciate, obviously, Nate and Rollin hanging out. Random Raccoon popping in. Thank you, all of you. Make sure that you smash the like button. Share the show. I see, Rollin, you shared it out on X. I appreciate that very much so. And make sure that wherever you're watching from, YouTube, X, Facebook, Kick, Rumble. Follow, subscribe, all that stuff. And go find us on the socials at the Alex Cuesta Show. Some news will be coming about a new channel that is going to be popping up and where to migrate to. And I'm hopefully going to get all that up on all these separate places as well, so I can stream to all those places. But changes are afoot. Changes are afoot, everyone. The show is going to be very similar, but it's going to be in a new place, a new look, new stuff. So, and I'm hoping that everyone, I'm hoping that Rollin and Nate, you guys here will migrate with me, because it will be a lot of the same, but just like I said, new look, new channel, starting anew, because I don't think this channel has the reach potential. But yeah, all right. Caveat Ty saying, glad you got to hear from me. And Nate saying, great show, even though you did show 10 seconds of John Lua. Who cares? But all right, everyone. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I will be back possibly tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow we might read Repressive Tolerance, because I think it needs to be out there for the record. I know it's been read before, but I think it's important that it also gets read again here and broken down. So, all right, everyone. Thank you very much. I will be back. So long, y'all.